Evening, everyone. We'll call tonight's meeting.
Microphone.
Sorry. We will call tonight's meeting, we'll be coming out of closed session at 6 o'clock. City Attorney Gretchen, I believe we're doing the report out at the end, and that is why the item was listed twice, correct? Okay. That question was asked earlier, and I did say it was listed twice, and that's why, so we can do the report out later. All right, with that, we will go on to item 7, ceremonial matters. First up, 7A, Proclamation Purple Heart Day will be read by Councilmember Gary Hansen and presented to Carol Lemonager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. City of Willows Proclamation Purple Heart Day. Whereas the Purple Heart is the oldest military decoration still awarded to members of the United States Armed Forces, established by General George Washington on August 7, 1782. And whereas the Purple Heart is awarded in the name of the President of the United States to those who have been wounded or killed while serving in the United States military. And whereas thousands of brave service members have received the Purple Heart for their courage, sacrifice, and dedication to the defense of our nation. And whereas Purple Heart Day serves as a solemn reminder of the cost of freedom and the bravery of those who have suffered wounds in combat. And whereas the City of Willows proudly honors and recognizes the contributions and sacrifices of our Purple Heart recipients and their families who have given so much for our country. And whereas the city supports all veterans and reaffirms its commitment to honor, respect, and remember their service and sacrifice. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Gary Hansen, Councilmember of City of Willows, on behalf of Mayor Hudson and on behalf of the Willows City Council and the citizens of Willows, who hereby proclaim August 7th, 2026 as Purple Heart Day in the City of Willows, and encourage all residents to honor and remember the brave men and women who've earned the Purple Heart and all who have served our nation with distinction. In witness whereof, Mayor Hudson has hereunto set his hand and official seal this 28th day of July, 2026. And Carol Lemonager with VFW Post 1770 will be receiving. Carol? Very good. Jesse Orndorff, Tom Kelly.
Oh, no, it's okay, Jim. This is all good. I'm just going to wait until the mayor comes back from shaking hands. As the city council knows, the VFW and VFW Auxiliary has been working on getting Purple Heart signs on the entrances to Willows. We have the two on 99, one saying County of Glen, City of Willows, Purple Heart Communities. At this and at the other end, it's same thing, but it's Orland. I was notified Tuesday from Senator Dahl's office that the state has approved, they say charter, that means approved, 162, the 162 sign. And the county has already said they will install it. And so that means we will do a permit to Caltrans, and then the county will be able to install. So we're getting there for all 4 entrances to the county for the Purple Heart sign.
Awesome. So you said that's 162. Is that 32 as well, or just, you know, if they're going to do one, just 162 for now? Okay. That's awesome.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
The signs on camera 99 look really good, Carol.
Okay.
Look great.
We have the signs.
Yeah.
They're up in the office. We just had to go through the process with the state. It took a little time, but we're there.
Okay, next up, item 7B, Proclamation National Wellness Month. City of Willows Proclamation National Wellness Month. Whereas the National Wellness Month is observed each August to promote healthy lifestyles and encourage individuals to prioritize their physical, mental, and emotional well-being. And whereas wellness encompasses healthy habits, preventative care, stress management, physical activity, balanced nutrition, quality sleep, and meaningful social connections that contribute healthier individuals and stronger communities. And whereas investing in personal wellness helps reduce the risk of chronic disease, improves quality of life, enhances productivity, and supports resilience during life's challenges. And whereas the City of Willows recognizes the importance of creating a community that supports healthy living through access to parks, recreational opportunities, public safety, community services, and programs that encourage active and engaged lifestyles. And whereas the employers, healthcare providers, schools, community organizations, and residents all play an important role in fostering a culture of wellness and supporting healthy choices for people of every age and ability. And whereas the City of Willows encourages residents to take time throughout the month of August to focus on self care, preventative health, physical activity, mental wellness, and building healthy habits that contribute to lifelong well being. Now, therefore, be it resolved, I, Evan Hudson, Mayor of the City of Willows, and on behalf of the Willows City Council and the citizens of Willows, do hereby proclaim the month of August 26th as National Wellness Month in the City of Willows. Encourage all residents to embrace opportunities to improve their health, support one another, and make wellness a daily priority. In witness whereof, I hereunto set my hand and official seal this 20th day of July, 2026. This will be presented to Billy Throm of Healing Hands Chiropractic.
Thanks, Doc. It's good to see you.
All right, item 7C, Proclamation National Disc Golf Day. City of Willows Proclamation National Disc Golf Day. Whereas disc golf is environmentally friendly, affordable, and provides a low impact recreational option for families, youth, and individuals in our community. And whereas National Disc Golf Day, observed annually on the first Saturday of August, celebrates the history and growth of disc golf and encourages participation in this positive outdoor activity. Whereas local parks and recreation departments, disc golf clubs, and community partners support the growth of the sport through course development, events, and educational programs. And whereas Dr. Billy has been instrumental in promoting and supporting the development of disc golf in the City of Willows through his dedication, advocacy, and volunteer efforts. And whereas the City of Willows recognizes the value of disc golf in enhancing community well-being, promoting healthy lifestyles, and providing inclusive recreational opportunities through the use of public park spaces. Now, therefore, be it resolved, I, Evan Hudson, Mayor of the City of Willows, and on behalf of the Willows City Council and the citizens of Willows, do hereby proclaim August 1st, 2026 as National Disc Golf Day in the City of Willows and encourage residents to explore and enjoy the sport of disc golf in our local parks and beyond. In witness hereof, I have hereunto set my hand and official seal on this 20th day of July, 2026. Billy, you're up again. All right. With that, we'll go on to item 8, presentation. Item 8A, Pioneer Community Energy, October 2027 service launch. Recommended action, receive a presentation and update on Pioneer Community Energy's planned service launch in the City of Willows on October 27th. With that, Marty Brown.
Yes, just really quickly, I want to introduce Lisa Rhodes of Pioneer. As you may recall, the city decided to move forward with community choice aggregation and look at the possibility of giving more energy choices to the citizens of Willows in addition to PG&E. And so this is now, we're at the stage where the launch would begin for making that transition. And so Pioneer is here today to talk about that. And Lisa Rhodes is a representative from Pioneer. So Lisa, thank you.
Thank you so much, Marty. Good evening, Mayor Hudson and Council. I'm Lisa Rhodes, Community Outreach Manager with Pioneer Community Energy, and I'm happy to be here tonight. As a quick reminder, as Marty mentioned, the Governing Board and Pioneer began working to bring Pioneer into Willows back in 2024. Together, we did an impact assessment study to determine this would benefit Willows and Pioneer, and the CPUC approved an October 2027 launch of service date. We've procured power for Willows, Glenn County, and Orland, and we're thrilled to be launching in October of 2027. I'm pleased to be here to give an update on and share our exciting news about our services and programs and how we plan to partner in the city of Willows in the months ahead. Next slide. So just a quick reminder, this slide highlights how Pioneer works. Pioneer buys the electricity from various suppliers. We don't buy the energy from PG&E. We have our own suppliers. We're a not-for-profit, and we don't have shareholders. Our customers are our shareholders. We want to make rate paying savings a priority, and we want our customers to see and reap those benefits. So we ensure a steady energy supply. PG&E is still involved. They deliver that electricity through their power lines and poles. As a customer, you're receiving one bill only, and that's from PG&E, but there is a line item for just the electricity. So that's through the legislation, we can purchase the electricity on behalf of your constituents. And basically, customers get a choice, and we provide exceptional customer service and competitive rates. And we're grateful to be working with Willows. Next slide. So this slide showcases our current members. So right now, our service territory includes El Dorado County, Placer County, and the cities therein. We added Grass Valley and Nevada City back in 2024. We have a planned expansion for fall 2027, which includes a total of 6 counties and 10 cities. Butte County, Nevada County, Tuolumne County, Glenn County, Sutter County, and Colusa County, and those cities therein. So in addition, we're just very proud of our history of saving customers money. Since 2018, we've saved our customers $145 million, and we're really proud of that, being a not-for-profit JPA. And we're just excited to be able to launch very soon. So next slide. So there are many benefits to joining Pioneer, and I'm happy to share those benefits to residents and businesses. Pioneer Community Energy's board of directors, their number one priority is to save customers money, but there's also more to Pioneer than just saving money. It's about providing a choice for residents and businesses, local governance and representation. So one of you will be serving on Pioneer's governing board. You'll be appointed, and you'll have local voice in setting rates and making some key decisions on behalf of Pioneer. So there's many opportunities as well. We're committed to community reinvestment. We strive to provide power purchase agreements in the areas that we serve. We're working with Colusa County, we're working with Butte County, and a few others on power purchase agreements. One example is the El Dorado Irrigation District. We purchased a 10-year contract with them for $37 million, and that is to provide hydro energy, and that money stays in the local community, and that's what we'd like to see for Willows. If there are developers, we want to definitely talk to them and talk about ways that we can procure energy locally and make some money for the area. So community reinvestment is very important to us. We have an exceptional customer care team. They answer the phone in 45 seconds or less. And we have a lot of links to different webinars as well. And we just look forward to having someone join our governing board. Slide. This slide illustrates a few ways that how Pioneer reinvest in the local communities. We support local events, we offer local programs, and our local power purchase agreements. We're supporters of the local fairs, local programs. We just purchased an energy efficient equipment upgrade for Placerville Community Pool. We are big sponsors of Feeding the Foothills, a food bank in Rockland, Roseville, Placer County area. And we've joined your local chamber, the Willows Chamber, the Orland Chamber, and we're researching local events so we can have a presence. And we're also looking for your feedback on what events we should be sponsoring. You know the area better than we do, and we want to know what programs and events are important. Next slide. As I mentioned, we offer local programs such as an AC tune-up rebate program where you can receive $75 as a resident if you tune up your AC unit, and we will send you a check for $75. There's also $150 for businesses that receive the tune-up as well. We have a Power Shift Rewards program where you get a $25 gift card by signing up, and then you get more rewards for conserving energy during the times when our grid is stressed. We also have GridGen, which is a zero upfront, no credit check program where you can install solar and battery at no cost. And we also have a community advisory committee, which we would welcome a member of the community serving on. And they meet regularly to discuss new program ideas. Next slide, please. There are other local programs, and one of them is our hourly flex pricing program where ag customers can schedule their energy usage a week in advance to reduce their energy usage during peak times. And after a 12-month period, if they've saved some energy, then they can receive some credits back on their bill. We also are pleased to say that our board has approved early access to 2 programs for all of our new member agencies. We have a Solar Rex program, which allows agencies to sell renewable energy credits and get paid quarterly, and also our Clean Fleet program to earn renewable energy credits for electric vehicles and chargers. Next slide. So now I'd like to provide a little more information and an overview of what you can expect over the next few months. During this time, we'll be implementing a very extensive public education campaign to educate residents about Pioneer and take the mystery out of the process. And folks, change is hard for some folks, and we just want to get out there and let folks know who we are, what we're offering. We're a not-for-profit JPA, and the information needs to be clear and easy to understand. Next slide. Our partnership involves collaboration and information sharing. Our pre-launch outreach strategies are intended to help address any misperceptions that some may have. Our call center and customer care team are available at any time to answer any questions about Pioneer. We also are prepared to address any questions. If you're hearing anything out in the community and you need help addressing, we're definitely available and definitely answer those questions. And we plan to work with your staff to roll out a plan so we would have a web page on your website, and that would be helpful information and FAQs. I've also provided a folder with some FAQs and other frequently asked questions and information that would help you. And we're just excited to be a part of the Willows community, and also working with Marty on a resource for all council, and the webpage will be really helpful because we know that other counties and cities are putting together the web pages, and it's been helpful. Next slide. Pioneer has developed a phased approach to our community outreach, and the first phase has been completed. It was a research phase, and it was completed last month. We're currently in phase 2 with our media ad plan, and we're developing messaging and materials. We'll be ramping up for phase 3, and that is from January to June. We'll have early advertising saying Pioneer is coming, along with town hall meetings, direct mail webinars, and community presentations. Phase 4 runs from July through September 2027 and includes a robust ad campaign, civic group presentations, direct mail, and social media. Ads will change from Pioneer is coming to Pioneer is here. And during any of these phases, we definitely would welcome your feedback, community feedback. We definitely want input into our community education plan. Next slide. To summarize, communications and community outreach play a key role for a successful partnership. You have a voice in the process and we want your feedback. We will be ramping up extensive outreach and advertising, and there'll be a lot of paid media, direct mail, town halls, and an on-site presence at community events. It takes a variety of communications vehicles to reach the community, and we just want to let you know we're here to be a resource and community partner in this process. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer those today.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Council, any questions?
None for me at this point.
Councilmember Hanson, any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. No questions. Lisa, thank you for coming and updating us and presenting tonight. Your previous presentations were extremely informative, so thanks for the update. Now it's July, almost August, so it's time for you to start kicking off. So I'm looking forward to it. It's exciting, a little competition for PG&E. Competition's a good thing. So
That's a good thing. Thank you.
yeah, so hopefully, it's another option for our community members to save some money. So it's good. So thanks, Lisa.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Lisa.
Okay. Moving on. Next item is item 9, public comment and consent calendar forum. All items on the consent calendar are considered routine and may be approved with a single vote unless removed for separate discussion by the council or city manager. Individuals wishing to speak on consent items or matters not on the agenda are asked to complete a speaker card and submit it to the city clerk. All remarks shall be directed to the mayor and council members and are limited to 3 minutes. By law, the council cannot discuss or take action on items not listed on the posted agenda. Item 9A, register approval. Item 9B, minutes approval. Item 9C, Rice lease agreement on city-owned property. Item 9D, employee wellness initiative policy. Item 9E, update conflict of interest code. Item 9F, delayed Caltrans project, Willows CAPM project EA 03-0J510. And we have item 9G, Jensen Park softball fields electrical panels upgrade. With that, are there any questions from, yes, Councilmember.
Very quickly, I just wanted to mention that there is an amendment to item 9E. One of the classifications, I think the council's already aware, administrative analyst should actually be finance and HR specialist. Other than that, I just wanted to get that into the record. Everything else on the consent calendar should be in order. Thank you.
Any questions from the council?
No questions, just certainly we need 9F. We need to push Caltrans to work on County Road or Highway 162.
Absolutely.
The westbound lane, northwestbound lane is horrible.
Yeah, yes, Mr. Mayor. Yeah.
Councilmember Hanson?
Yeah, thank you. I absolutely agree with Vice Mayor Thomas in reference to 9F. That's the State Route 162 reconstruction project, fully within the city of Willows from Walmart area to the railroad tracks on 162, just east of County Road 99. Anyway, as chair of the Glenn County Transportation Commission, I and my colleagues have been harping on Caltrans extremely heavy. This project keeps getting kicked down the road. Completion was supposed to be 2 or 3 years ago, and now they've decided to bump it up to 2031. So in speaking with staff, notably City Manager Marty Brown and Community Development Services Director Joe Bentoncourt, it was recommended that we prepare and approve a resolution, which is what we're considering tonight, rather than just a letter. And the resolution will go to not only Caltrans, but legislatures also, and whoever else we can get it to have a little more teeth. So this is, yeah, we're definitely not in Caltrans, priority list, and that's not right. So anyway, this is hopefully a start to get this project bumped up back on schedule where it should be. But anyway, with that, and also in reference to item 9C, the Rice lease agreement. I just want to say that that's an extremely good deal for the city of Willows. So that's all I had, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. With that, I will open it up to public comment for any of the items on the consent calendar or anything not posted on the agenda.
I have Michelle Knight. Okay. I have Gabe Hackett.
I would like to speak about what was just spoken about a few minutes ago.
To the microphone, please.
I'm
Can you lift
sorry.
that?
I would like to speak about what was just spoken about when it comes to
The
How we-
Pioneer.
the energy. Yes, the project that comes to energy, and I live in Orland.
Mhm.
However, I think that it is important that we all are on the same page when it comes to this. Orland and Willows and the rest of Glenn County are all on the same page. We want the same thing. We want how would I say it? What's a good way to say it? We want we don't want something that is hidden from the rest of the county. There are certain things that are up in front of you guys that are not hidden from the county. There are certain things that are hidden from us that are in front of the entire county, the Board of Supervisors. And there are some things that are hidden before the Orland board. I'm trying to explain that everything that we're trying to do, we are trying to do on the same page. Are we not? Are we not all the same page? Would you like to be on the same page when it comes to what happens in Willows, what happens in Glenn County, and what happens in Orland? Or would you prefer to be in either argument or just pretend that it doesn't exist? Because I think we all know that there are things that are going on. Do we not? And I'm trying to explain that there are things that are happening that we would like to talk about before all three of the governmental organizations that make up Glenn County. And I would like it if we could do that in the future. And I'm I'm looking at my number counting down. I would like it if I could tell you guys that there are some things that you really need to know, and I can't quite put in front of you myself because I'm from Orland and I don't want to push things, but I would like to explain to you that there are things that we all should be on the same side of, or we're working together. We're not. Are you working against Orland? No, right?
Your
You're not
time's
working
up.
against
Us. No. I have to say time, but I understand what you're saying. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any public comment for anything not on the consent calendar or anything on the consent calendar? Do you have anyone else?
I have for 11A, I have Michelle Knight.
Given the computer billing program has already been purchased and
Sorry, Michelle, hold on. This is for 11A. We're not there yet. We're on section 9, consent
Oh,
calendar.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
I
Nope.
thought,
Sorry.
How did I do that? Sorry, Michelle.
Okay. With that, I will leave it to the pleasure of the council for consent calendar items 9A through 9G.
Mr. Mayor, move to approve the consent calendar as presented.
First, is there a second?
Second.
Any further comment? Okay, with that, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passed 3-0. Okay, next up, public hearing. All all matters on this section of the agenda are formal public hearings and will be acted on individually. Individuals wishing to speak on these items are asked to complete a speaker card and submit it to the city clerk. Comments should be directed to the mayor and council members and are limited to 3 minutes. If you have any documentation you would like distributed to the council, please give it to the city clerk for distribution. Item 10A, public hearing, weed abatement, special assessment, and cost abatement. Recommended action, conduct a public hearing and upon its conclusion, consider adoption of the attached resolution confirming the cost of abatement and declaring a special assessment on those properties that were abated by the city. Contact Fire Chief Nathan Monk.
Good evening, council. The public hearing tonight is the final component of the annual weed abatement schedule. At this public hearing, residents will have the opportunity to protest the cost that they were assessed for their abatement. Basically, this is their chance to look at the weed abatement contract and the charges and the fee schedule that's within the weed abatement contract and argue whether or not the charges were within the scope of the weed abatement contract. This year, we abated a total of 21 properties. 14 of those properties were owned by absentee property owners. And with that, I will answer any questions that you guys may have.
I have no questions for you.
We have any protests?
We won't know until we have the public hearing.
No questions, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, with that, I will open this up to a public hearing at 6:33. Any public comment?
I have no cards.
Anyone that wishes to speak on weed abatement? I'm trying to wait for the minute hand to at least change one. Okay, with there being adequate time for the public to be heard, I close the hearing for further public comment at 6:34.
Now that the public hearing has concluded, the next step is to approve the attached resolution, which allows the city to place unpaid invoices on the tax rolls as a lien if unpaid by, I believe, August 10th.
Okay. With that, pleasure of the council.
Mr. Mayor, if you may, I'd like to move to approve a resolution next in line. Resolution of the City Council of the City of Willows confirming costs of abatement amended and declaring them a special assessment.
Have a first, is there a second?
Second the motion, Mr. Mayor.
Any further discussion?
Yes, Chief, thank you very much for your hard work on this each and every year. And what was that initial list? It's been whittled down to 21. That's pretty good. So yeah, good. Yeah, good job. Much appreciated. That's all I had, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. With that, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passed 3-0. Next up, discussion and action calendar item. All matters on the discussion and action calendar will be discussed and acted on individually. Individuals wishing to speak on these items are asked to complete a speaker card and submit it to the city clerk. Comments should be directed to the mayor and council members and are limited to 3 minutes. By law, the council cannot discuss or take action on items not listed on the posted agenda. First item, item 11A, utility billing module, Tyler Technologies. Recommended action upon conclusion of the discussion to direct staff to continue with the currently approved Tyler Technologies utility billing module implementation schedule during the contractually required 4-week cancellation period, including scheduled trainings, data conversion, and go live activities. Further direct staff to either conclude implementation and ongoing use of the utility billing module beyond the cancellation period, or 2, provide Tyler Technologies with written notice of termination, discontinue the utility billing module upon the effective cancellation date, subject to all applicable contractual costs and obligations. City Manager Marty Brown.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Councilmember Hanson. The item that's before you is a result of the last council meeting, there was a part-time utility biller position classification and salary schedule that was on the agenda, and the council did not move forward with hiring for that position. And so we're coming back to ask the council whether they want to continue funding the utility module software program, as well as all the required training that would need to be undertaken by the finance department staff, and I guess possibly hire a part-time utility biller at some point in the future, or if you want to terminate the contract now, which as the staff report illustrates, we are required to give a 4-week notice, and so therefore costs will continue to incur. We don't have any control over that. That's the contractual agreement we have with Tyler Technologies. And so the cost estimate, if we terminate the contract tonight and we have 4 more weeks of incurred expenses, will be just under $30,000. And if we continue with the module and keep it as is, and we move forward with paying for the licensure in September, and also any further training that needs to be done this fiscal year, it'll be just over $38,000. And since the finance department staffing levels do not have the capacity, it's a 2-person finance department, to take on the utility billing without the utility billing position. So if option 2, to continue paying for the module and the software, were selected by and voted on and approved by the council, at some point we would have to bring back the part-time utility biller, because there won't be anybody at this point to use that software and implement the program. As also, I want to just point out, previously stated, the position would probably be brought back at some point later this year, if you were going to consider it, the part-time utility biller position. Because for this year, because it wasn't approved at the last council meeting, we have had to move forward with giving this over to the county to put on the residential roles. We had to move quickly, and so we've already implemented that process based on the decision from the last council meeting. And we've also been working with Cal Water as well to implement the commercial billing. So if you were to move forward with maintaining the module and electing to hire a part-time biller in the future, for this year, it would remain as it always has until next year, because that's already underway. And
Sorry, one second.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Can I have you guys please keep your voices down so we can hear what Marty's trying to explain? Jim? Thank you. Go ahead, Marty.
so we would maintain the utility billing as it has been historically, because we've already gone ahead and done that based on the decision of the council 2 weeks ago. And the deadline for the county is August 10th, which is, pretty much right around the corner. So we've moved forward and done that. And so for this year, we would be leaving it as is, even if the council were to elect to maintain the utility module. The last thing I wanted to say is that we have been notified by Cal Water that we will be getting a formal letter notifying the city that Cal Water would like to discontinue the service that it has provided in terms of commercial billing. And I've seen a copy of the draft letter. It's a very generous timeline. And I think it's something that we can accommodate. Would be looking at ending that service as June 30th of 2027. And Cal Water is here also to speak to that, if you'd like to have anybody from Cal Water talk about it a little bit more. But we, now that this letter is pending and is going to move forward it seems incumbent upon the city to move forward with the process that we've already been implementing for over 12 months. So that's my recommendation.
Thank you. With that, any questions from the council?
Also, I just should mention the finance director's on vacation, but she is on Zoom. If you have any really detailed questions about the utility module and the billing, Joey could probably also answer that. Been elevated,
Okay,
promoted.
thank you. Vice Mayor Thomas, any questions?
Well, I don't know if it's a question or not, but I just want to make sure I understand it as well as the folks in the audience. So we'll spend $38,000 at the end of this if we back out.
No, if you back out tonight, you will spend 30,000 because I
30,000.
have to pay for another 4 weeks. If you continue with the assumption that the council is going to hire a part-time utility biller and also that we're going to be losing the commercial services as of June 30th, that will be 38,000.
And if we keep the billing, the Tyler module, it's an $8,000 a year.
Licensing
License fee.
at just over 8,000, correct?
And if we give up the license today, we lose what we spent already,
Correct.
and we have to rebuy the whole smash, Marianne, when we have to go.
We would
Have it
have to
billing.
completely start over.
Should bring our total to 76,000.
In addition to that, Tyler Technologies has already told us that if we stop, which since the billing position wasn't approved 2 weeks ago, we did not stop because we learned if we just stopped everything, we can't get back on their schedule until 2028, which obviously presents a problem with the current proposed letter from Cal Water, although we probably could negotiate something if we wanted to pay for this twice. I mean, there might be other options. I mean, if the council wanted to explore other ways of doing billing, the city of Marysville sends it out to utility management services in Chico, but there's a cost for that. And somebody has to monitor and oversee it. And I can tell you as a former city manager over UMS, it was really a disaster, actually. There was lots of billing, lots of businesses and residents that didn't get billed because there was really no oversight and they had no mechanism to make sure that every year that they were tracking it, making sure by bringing in in-house, city staff can track and make sure that when there's new connections or old connections or a house burns down and you don't have a sewage connection, we can monitor all of that and make sure that we implement the correct addresses every year. With another service like UMS, we would have to oversee their contract and make sure they're doing their job because they don't proactively do it. I can tell you that. That's like the only other option I can think of if you wanted to completely jettison this model altogether.
So if we spend the $8,000 for this, have we spent it for this fiscal year, 26, 27?
The invoice is due in September.
So we owe $8,673.
Correct.
And if we implement in-house billing in 1 or 2 years, the total would be roughly either 8,600 or 17,000.
It'll be more because they already told us that the billing that they're providing hourly for the training is right now $120 an hour. And people that are signing up today are getting it at $145 an hour.
So by spending the $8,000 for the next 2 years, we save the $30,000 up front, or whatever that
Probably
number
more
might
than
be
that,
at
but
that time,
yes.
current market. So that's like 50% savings on throwing it all out, and starting all over.
Well, if we're throwing it all out and starting all over, it's going to be easily $40,000 again.
Understood.
And it'll be 2 years from now at best, 2028.
Thank you.
Councilmember Hanson, any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just the city contracted with Tyler Technologies, Marty, 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, nearly, for a complete system upgrade.
For this particular?
No, for the system upgrade,
Oh,
citywide upgrade.
we started in the spring of 2023.
No, it's been that long, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
actually, it was
3
approved by
years.
council in 2022, and we didn't start training until the spring of 23.
Yeah, time flies. That was for a complete complete technology system, citywide system upgrade, which is sorely needed
Correct.
and which we're utilizing now, finally seeing the fruits of that labor, which is good because we had, old antiquated unsupported systems before. But yeah, we over 2 years ago, about 2.5 years ago, we the previous council began moving forward with utility billing in-house because knowing full well that Cal Water wanted out of the commercial billing business. And Shannon and Davis, good to see you tonight. Thank you for being here. Our local management, district management team with Cal Water. They do a fantastic service for us here. Very good people, a darn good outfit, and a great partner. So the time has come. We've been warned for several years from Cal Water. They wanted out of the commercial utility billing, which is sewage related commercial billing. We call it utility billing. So it's coming. It's near. So Shannon, Tavis, any would you like to make any comments about it is coming soon? Just so that we all heard from Cal Water. Nothing's formalized yet, but we've been warned for several years, and now we're almost there. Cal Water's getting ready to pull the switch and officially advise us. Tavis, I'm sorry. Very good. If I'll just repeat what Tavis, or well as district manager, just said because he was away from the mic. Very soon, internal personnel at Cal Water will be formally advising the city that they are no longer doing the commercial billing. However, you are for this year, correct? For this year, you're able to reconcile it and salvage it for this year. So we've, if we don't move forward, we throw away $30,000 and we start over, delayed, and there won't be anybody to do the billing until 2028. That's silly. I say that's 70,000 plus. We'll have to reinvent the wheel. So we started moving in this direction over 2 years ago, knowing full well that Cal Water was going to let us know they're no longer going to be doing the commercial billing. That's forthcoming very soon. So it'll be absolutely foolish. Doesn't make any sense at all to go backwards and throw this, toss this module, then have to reinvent the wheel and then not be able to provide billing because we're not prepared. This was good planning. This is planning for the future. 2-3 years ago when we started down this road, the work's been done except for the annual licensing fee, about $8,000. Correct, Marty? So
That's correct.
no, we'd be foolish to throw this in a trash can right now and just have to completely reinvent the wheel and start over. Plus, you advised in staff report, and you also advised verbally that we're locked in at the $120 an hour rate versus the $145 Tyler Technologies rate. So very good. I'm very satisfied. The staff report was very informational. Cal Water team, thank you for your comments. I feel we need to move forward and approve and move forward with the work already being done. That's all I had, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Joey, my question's for you. And I don't need an answer right now, but it's a question I would like to possibly have by the time that we bring up the part-time biller position back, if that ends up coming back. Is the commercial billing something that I believe we found out it's like around 200 or 250 accounts. Is that something you think we could handle possibly in-house without the part-time position? Again, I'm asking the question. I know you probably have research to do. I didn't have a chance to email you that question earlier, but it was a question that I had. So I don't want an answer right now, but that is a question I wanted to ask. And then, with that's my only question that I have on this right now. And I will open it up to public comment before I make any other council comments. So with that, is there any public comment on item 11A?
Michelle Knight.
Thank you. Speaking on my own behalf, and I believe on behalf of many members of the public, it would be refreshing to attend a city council meeting where we are not operating in crisis mode, where we are not rushing to address last minute issues and constantly putting out fires. If most of us approached our own professions this way, reacting to emergencies instead of planning ahead, we likely would not keep our jobs for very long. It is exhausting to watch the city continue to operate in this manner. I hope the council will place a greater emphasis on proactive planning, accountability, and thoughtful decision-making so that these reoccurring last-minute situations become the exception rather than the rule. Given that the computer billing program has already has already been purchased and staff training has already believed to have begun, we should continue the implementation process, I believe. Even if the launch of the billing program is delayed, completing the training would help ensure the city's investment in both the software and its employees is not wasted. That said, greater transparency would be appreciated. Specifically, the public should be informed of the total number of commercial utility accounts that currently exist. I did hear you say 250, Mayor, approximately, exist within the city limits. Without that information, it is difficult to assess whether hiring even a part-time employee to process what appears to be a relatively limited number of commercial accounts is necessary or cost-effective decision. From all appearances, the city's current process for billing residential customers is already effective, efficient, and represents the most economical method of collecting utility revenues. While I support the continued investment in the billing software and the associated staff training, I do, however, have concerns regarding the accuracy of the overall cost analysis submitted by the city manager in the attached document. For example, it was previously stated that the billing module alone had cost more than $17,000, if I recall correctly. There were also 2 additional related purchases made around June, each totaling several $1,000s. Furthermore, the estimated cost associated with hiring a part-time utility biller appears to reflect a full-time salary once again, rather than the cost for a part-time position. If this is indeed the case, the cost analysis should be revised to accurately reflect the true financial impact. Providing updated and accurate figures would allow both the City Council and the public to evaluate the proposal based on complete and reliable information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Keith Corum.
I think my question was answered by Marty a few minutes ago, but I want to confirm. I read all the documentation material and there was nothing in there that stated that Cal Water was going to stop the billing. So has a document been received from Cal Water that states that and at what time they will stop billing?
No, an official document has not been received. However, when the representatives saw our agenda and saw that this was coming up for us to potentially remove, they wanted to get us in as soon as possible. I met with them early this morning, and that's when they informed me that there is an intent to give us that letter. This currently, according to what I understood, is going through legal still to make sure that, it's okay with their legal counsel.
Okay.
And then it will be delivered to the city. I believe they said either end of the week or before our next council meeting. And it
Okay,
will be
well,
out
I
there.
did hear it correctly then.
Yeah.
But that was an important piece of information that I needed to know the accuracy of what's being stated.
Yeah, so they just informed me today, and I believe they met with Marty after they met with me, and just informed us today of that update.
The next question, if we take over billing and hire an individual to do that, what training will they receive, and will they receive any help from Cal Water to take over all of the clients that they're currently doing this?
So the letter that they're preparing will really kind of help answer that. They have, like Marty said, there is a very gracious transition period that they're giving us. And in there is some time for us to get with their people and get our person with them to help understand what the billing is and their side of it and what they've been doing, as well as we discussed during this process, how will we get those readings? And so those are all plans that they're currently working on as part of that initial letter to give us a packet. So we did have an in-depth conversation about that. And I was planning on kind of speaking to that after this, but yeah. so
Okay,
I
well,
can-
you answered another question. I was
Mhm.
going to ask, how will you get those readings? So a
It would-
person could do the billing.
Um, we had this conversation earlier and it was either going to be Public Works or possibly Cal Water would be giving them to us.
Okay,
But yeah, so that's part of that transition period, one of those steps that they were going to lay out in that letter. And I told them I didn't want a copy of their draft. I'll wait for the original because I want to make sure everything's correct for them on it when they do give it to us.
okay.
And I didn't want to come up here with half the information and then have it be changed.
What is the target date for them to stop their collection of this information and it has to be transferred to the city?
On the draft, it was June 30th of 2027.
Okay,
However, we've had the conversation. If we need longer, they're possibly willing to work with us on that. But that's a pretty hard, strict date for them. They said if it maybe takes a month or two more, then that'd be fine. But as far as they're concerned, they don't. Their headquarters is they want to get out of the sewage billing.
okay. I appreciate your answers and I appreciate also that this is on tonight's agenda, that you have a heads up, you have a date, and you're making plans accordingly. Thank you.
Mhm. Oh, yes, sorry. Davis, if you'd like to step up, you had some comments on that. Okay. Did I misspeak?
Tavis Bynum, California Water Service. So to help answer some of your questions in the transition, we've gone through this before. Willows, we've built several communities in the past to help with sewer billing. Willows actually is one of the last cities and communities that we serve that we still are doing the billing for. So we've outlined in the letter will be an outline and a transition process with goals set to help reach those goals. We're well aware of some of the issues that come across with delinquent accounts and different things that come up as you get close to the end. So we will definitely be a part of helping the city transition through those spots and hoping to provide information. And in most circumstances, after the separation is complete from the billing, we still supply the city with reports and things like that to help them in the process.
Thank you. Was there any further public comment? Wait till you get up here. Wait, get all the huh?
Okay, I'm Joyce Cassandra, you know I am. If a person doesn't pay their sewage, well, you can't turn it off. And my gut is telling me, I'm really sad that you spent 17 grand more, and then you're going to hire somebody and pay stamps and postage and maybe 10 times to send them a letter or something. But if it goes on their tax bill, they're going to pay attention. And if it's a landlord, he's going to make sure he pays his bill too. So that's what is concerning me. I don't know what the differential is between this pay and that pay. And the other thing is software goes out of style, or I don't know, it has a end date kind of. And I think that's what he was talking about, the 30 grand. That's a chunk of change. 30 plus 17 is a lot of loot.
With that, is there any further public comments? We don't have any more cards. Okay, with that, we will go to council comments. Vice Mayor Thomas, do you have any comments regarding item 11A?
I don't think I have any more. I don't like wasting money. So to not spend 8 to save 30, that would be foolish. So I would support keeping the module, making the payment, because we're obviously going to need it. And who knows what it'll cost when we get around. If we give this one up, go to buy it back, what it's going to cost. We have it today's price. Let's buy it at today's price, which we did. And let's spend the 8 to maintain it so we can save 22,000.
Councilmember Hanson?
Yeah, thank
Any
you,
further
Mr. Mayor.
comments?
Yeah, I agree with Rick. You know, we're 100 yards from the finish line now. This has been proactive planning over the last 2.5, 3 years, and we're almost there. It'd be absolutely fiscally irresponsible and foolish to waste the money. And we know the letters coming from Caltrans within days, so we're being officially put on notice, and they've been trying to gently warn us for several years, and now we're almost there. So, but all I had, Mr. Mayor, I'm in favor of moving forward with the Tyler Technologies sewer utility billing module that as we've been doing for the last 2+ years.
Okay, thank you. Well, a lot of my council comments were used as answers to some of the questions. But one of the things I wanted to state was that I do feel like we need to move forward with spilling as well, or the Tyler system as well, as we don't know where we're going to be at in a year. We don't know for sure if Cal Water is going to cut it off in June 30th to 27. We don't know if they'll maybe extend it. And I do believe it's cheaper for us to continue with what we've already invested in this. There are times where when you pick up the shovel, there's a good time to set it down. And I feel like this isn't one of those times for us to set down the shovel quite yet. But with that being said, I do think that it would be prudent to have the city look into what it would take if we were to add these commercial accounts to the county billing, if the county is even willing to do commercial accounts or not.
I asked them that when I first got here. They're not willing.
They're not willing to do it. Okay, so we're doing it one way or the other. Okay. So with that, I will leave it to the pleasure of the council.
Mr. Mayor, I move for a recommendation number 2 to continue funding the Tyler Technologies sewer utility billing module until a future part-time utility biller may be hired and implementation of the city's in-house sewer utility billing system may resume at an estimated cost of $38,566 for fiscal year 2026, 2027.
I would like to offer an amendment to that with Joey seeing what it would take to possibly keep the commercial billing and being able to do it in-house between our current staff with Joey and Robin in the office.
Move as amended, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. And then I will second that.
Is that, Madam Clerk, is that clear, the amendment?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any further comment?
Could you repeat that amendment for my deaf ears?
Amended for the finance director to see what it would take to keep the utility billing in-house with the commercial.
Okay. Thank you.
So there's a first and a second. No, any further comment? All in
I'll
favor?
second it. You
Okay,
seconded
I already
it.
did.
All right.
Trying to steal my thunder. Got a first and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, second sign. It's always good to laugh every once in a while. All right. Item 11B.
I was looking forward to you guys arguing about it.
Oh,
Anyway,
we were arm wrestling back here behind the dais. So let me grab my paperwork again. Okay. Item 11B, library board structure and appointments. Recommended action. Consider the following options related to the structure of the library board and appointments to the board of trustees and direct staff to proceed in accordance with the council's preferred option. Contact will be City Manager Marty Brown. Marty, you have anything to add on this? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Councilmember Hanson. This item is about the Library Board of Trustees structure and appointment process. There are currently 3 vacancies on the Board of Trustees, and there has been a lot of discussion about possibility of changing the Library Board trustee structure. And so the item that is here before you is with 3 options for the council to choose from. The first item, the first option A is to leave the current library board trustee structure as is with the existing agreement, which is an attachment 1, and direct staff to immediately begin recruiting to fill the 3 vacant positions on the board. Option B is to replace the current library board of trustees by appointing and seating the city council to the library board of trustees and doing away with the current public appointee structure. And option C is the one that is being recommended by staff, which is to have the City of Willows, the city council, be seated as the library board of trustees and create a citizen advisory committee, which would act in the capacity of the way the current structure is by appointing members of the public and having the advisory committee be responsible and have purview over the trust funds of the library, as well as library policies. And, the current city council, you have the authority over the entire budget, really, other than trust funds now, as you approve the $270,000 budget of the library budget. So in many ways, it's really like changing titles and having the library board of trustees seated as the city council, acting as more the body that would actually take action and authorize other types of actions that might come before the board and might involve the budget. There are a few other line items that are in the library budget that are actually not in the budget book, but are other line items that are like public computers, for example, that are could be an advisory from the Citizen Advisory Committee on how to spend those monies. It would go to the Board of Trustees, and the Board of Trustees would then vote on their recommendation. The Citizen Advisory Committee that's proposed would continue to have sole authority and take action over the trust funds, as well as, reviewing staff's recommended library policies and taking action on those items as well. So those are the three options before the council. If you have any questions or need further clarification on those options, please let me know. Also, I was going to let Christine make a few comments, if that's okay, about the recommended action as well. City librarian, by the way.
An improvement which would benefit the library, be better collaboration between the council and the library board with respect to professionalism to ensure that the library can provide Glenn County community with library services for our mission. Effective governance depends on clearly defined roles, mutual respect, and adherence to established lines of. Additionally, fiscal responsibility and staff develop best practice policies to guide decision-making for library funding for our sustainability.
That concludes the staff presentation, unless
Okay.
questions for.
Vice Mayor Thomas, any questions?
No, I don't have any real questions, but I have some comments. We have a letter from citizen that outlines a variety of issues with the library board and the city manager. One of her statements is attempt to micromanage the board members and continue her mismanagement of the library trust. City Manager Brown is solely responsible for commingling $120,000 of library trust funds in the city cash account. Now, I spent 40 years in the title and escrow business, and I worked for 3 different title insurers and 2 different underwritten title companies. We all had just one escrow trust account. All the money went into one trust account. We all had a ledger that identified the amount that was available for each item in that particular account. It was reconciled regularly. So it's not uncommon. It's actually a matter of practice that those funds would be listed in one escrow or one checking account. Now, the benefit of that is when it's $120,000 or $2.5 million, there's better benefits to the city from interest, as well as benefits that are accrued to the city through a large static deposit. So it's beneficial to the city that it's all collectively, but there's not anything that would mismanage or take away from anything of the $120,000 that's trust funds. If that 120 is the actual real number, I didn't verify that. Second, after our librarian left and we had a temporary Ms. Brown as the acting librarian, Friends of the Library and the Trustees Board typically met together. That signaled to me as a Brown Act violation. From the council's position, I wanted, and I never understood, while the library board did not meet in this room and have their meetings recorded for transparency purposes, and so somebody could come back and watch and listen to it. They insisted and told us, no, they're not going to move. And I thought that was, oh, I just won't go there. That was wrong. I know I personally asked, can we have a joint meeting with the city council and the library board? The goal with that was to have the conversations and create a dialogue, so we would have a dialogue and we wouldn't be here today with everybody throwing rocks at each other. And when I listened to the minutes back then, I was reading them actually, and I couldn't tell who was speaking, and it was very difficult to understand what they were actually talking about and the specifics of that. So I tried the recording, I still couldn't figure it out. So changing the minutes to match that of the city council and that of the planning commission, the finance committee, it would just seem logical and appropriate that that commission act accordingly with the city practices of all of the other committees. So I have a problem with all of the innuendos and that she tried to handle and demand that the trustees move the locating meeting. And I think that was coming from this council, not from her. I think it belonged here and it doesn't belong here. So we want to talk about transparency, recording. Everybody gets to see what's going on. Everybody gets to know what's going on. It's just the right way to do it. And I'll withhold everything else for later, if there are anything else.
Councilmember Hanson, any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, from my perspective, the mission must be ensuring quality delivery of library services, I would think, putting personalities aside. I mean, I obviously, if people didn't care, we wouldn't be hearing from them. But fortunately, our citizens do care. I want to thank Christine Watson, a librarian. How long have you been here now, Christine? I can't remember. How many months? Almost a year. Wow, time flies. Well, Christine is a godsend. She is one heck of a librarian. She is a real librarian. She has a master's degree in library science, and we are very fortunate to have her. She runs a very good library. She's updated the library, cleaned up the library, brought in a full-time children's librarian, and she's a worker. First day she landed here, she rolled up her sleeves, she went to work. She works hard every day. Christine, thank you for the outstanding work that you do. Christine needs the support of the city council, which you have, and also the support of a library board. And the library board's duties are spelled out in statute, but also with the agreement, which is now a 37-year-old agreement with the city of Willows. And that agreement's real basic. It's a 2-page agreement. And at the very bottom of it, it states this agreement shall be reviewed. I'll start over. This agreement shall be reviewed whenever the majority of either the Board of Trustees or the City Council desire. And that was in November of 1989 by the Willows City Council, and also signed off by the President of the Library Board of Trustees at the time. So the document still looks relevant to me. However, I'm not a librarian, and I would encourage or recommend, in a future motion, I will be making the recommendation to have this the current document just reviewed and updated if need be. It's very basic. Wouldn't take long, wouldn't take much, but it's 37 years old, and things change. Processes change. It may still be relevant, but parts of it may not be relevant anymore. The precursor with the Library Board of Trustees is McDowell Trust, right? So the trust funds are safe and secure, all invested within the City of Willows financial umbrella, and invested, to receive interest on the accounts, and that interest is utilized by the recommended for use by the Library Board Board of Trustees. That's really one of the main duties of our library board. It's unfortunate that there's been discourse. I suggest hit the reset breaker. Let's refresh this and move forward and do what's right for quality delivery of library services. That's the important goal here. Putting personalities aside, any past differences aside, let's just move forward. Move forward as a team and provide outstanding library services. We've got the team in place to get it done with Christine and her team. That's where I'm at. Now today, the options before us, City Manager Marty Brown just outlined the options. Many of you have read those. The council member has the options. Today, just before this meeting, after I got cleaned up to get to this meeting, we started our closed session at 5. At 4:30, I saw an email that had come in, I don't know, sometime this afternoon from the Glenn County Board of Supervisors, signed by Grant Carmen, the chair of the board, dated today, July 28th, recommending that on behalf of the Glenn County Board of Supervisors, it talks about the library board established by this ordinance that I just mentioned, this agreement in 1989. Anyway, the Board of Supervisors today is recommending that the library board continue as has been the case for decades now. I want to see a separate library board of trustees. I'm an active, busy city council member. I off the top of my head, I sit on a minimum of nine committees, boards, and commissions. Probably more than that, but there's 9. Most are related to my duties of city council. Others are not. I fully support the library. Our library is great. My kids, my grandkids utilize the library all the time. I love the wildlife events. I usually try to come to those. I have a library card. I read a lot, but I don't have time to check out books at the library because I don't have any minutes left in the day. So with that, I think the message came from the Board of Supervisors today. One of the options is moving forward with the City of Reading model that was presented. I think it's a great model. I mean, some municipalities have their city council serve as library board of trustees, and it's completely allowable. City of Reading has a 5 members of their council. I believe they're a 7-member council, Marty, if I remember right. But 5 of their city council members serve on the library board of trustees, and then they have a citizens advisory committee. Well, the recommendation from staff was possibly for us to consider. One of the considerations was for us to consider a hybrid model where 3 members of the city council sit on the library board and see if the board of supervisors would be interested in 2 of the county board members. I'm sorry, Marty.
If I could just clarify.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Quickly, the reason that I was recommending that is because in the past, Board of Supervisors have privately said to me, well, when I've asked about additional funding, they give the city about 40% funding and about 50 to 55% of the patrons are from outside the city limits. They have said, well, we don't have any, we would want to be more involved in managing the budget if we were going to give you more money. That's what's been anecdotally told to me at various times over the last 5 years. Yeah. So I thought that they would embrace this opportunity to sit on the library board of trustees. And since they provide 40% of the budget, it seemed like 2 board members would be make sense and 3 council members. And that's why I recommended that. I don't know if the board is interested in that, however.
No, thank you for clarifying that, Marty. Makes perfect sense because there is some county funding involved. And like I say, over 50% of our patrons or roughly 50% plus or thereabouts are actually not residents we're all residents of Glenn County, obviously, but not residents of the city of Willows, even though it is a Willows managed library. But anyway, no, I think that's an honorable and possibly a viable alternative to have 3 members of the city council and 2 board members if the board was so willing to serve as a library board with a citizens advisory committee. Also a 5-person citizens advisory committee advising the board. But the reason I mentioned this letter today is since this letter is dated today, July 28th, it doesn't appear that the Board of Supervisors is interested in that. It has not been communicated to them yet, though, correct, Marty? This is our first discussion on this matter tonight, and we have not approached the county yet with
We have
this.
not approached the county. I'm assuming that someone saw the agenda packet, though. It posted
Sure,
on
well, sure.
Friday. Yeah.
I would imagine. So I'm taking this letter as an indication they're probably not interested in pursuing that, I would say. Marty, what do you think? I mean, I'm
I
just
think you're
guessing.
probably right.
I don't like to assume, what it starts with, the first three letters,
Yes,
but
I do. Yeah.
but
I
still.
think you're probably right.
Yeah, with that said, I'm an advocate of maintaining a separate library board. We just need to remember that the mission is to provide quality library services and stop the infighting, stop the bickering, follow the Brown Act, understand the Brown Act, have the meetings in this room where they can be recorded for transparency, full transparency, just like we do our city council meeting, just like the planning commission does. There have been some issues. I'm not, Rick mentioned some of the issues. I'm aware of some of the issues, but like I say, let's hit the pause button. Let's reset. I recommend maintaining a library board of trustees of like-minded, good citizens that want to do the right thing. I appreciate the service that all of the library board of trustees members, past and present, have done and do for our community. It's much appreciated with, you're volunteering with the community service, and thank you for your work. But let's knock this off, move forward, and do what's right for the library and for our citizens, and let's tend to business and be professional about it. Those are my thoughts. So that's all I had, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to open this up to public comment.
Maria
public-
Ahorn.
Just a quick, I am a citizen of Glenn County, have
Can you
been
speak
for
closer to
I
the
asked you to
microphone?
pull the mic. Yeah, thank you. So
Thank you.
generation born and raised here. My kids, 4 of my 5 kids live in Glenn County. So I'm talking for my people here. So I've worked in government for 25 years, 16 for the county, came and worked for the city for 5, and then went back to the county for my reasons. And so during my 5 years with the city, starting in 2017, I didn't observe or hear of any significant conflict between the library board and city staff or city council. It was only after a new city manager was hired that I became aware of any contention. Since then, I have reviewed the available information and made several observations. The library board has regularly reviewed and updated its policies and procedures, including in 2011, 2015, 2022, and 2025. The city council or city manager had concerns. There were multiple opportunities to work with the board to address them. Hey, I have not seen any evidence supporting allegations of Brown Act violations or lack of transparency by the library board. Instead, the board often had to repeatedly request financial documents from the city before receiving them. And if city leadership genuinely believed there was Brown Act or transparency issues, the appropriate response would have been to provide guidance and training. The city also failed to provide regular orientation or ongoing training for library board members. So I've also heard from people and residents of Willows have started using the Orland Library because of ongoing service issues here, limited computer access, delays in receiving new materials. And that's with the current management. Now, I see a lot of blaming going to the prior director, and I think that's very unfair. I was here, I was on the staff, and I attended staff meetings. And I can tell you one of the most professional people I met was the prior library director. I am totally against changing anything on the library board. Maybe we need to get a little bit together, but telling people they're unprofessional and shouldn't be doing stuff just is going to, let's just irritate them some more. I think the library board is fine. I don't see, if you become the library board and there's an advisory board, all that means to me is They get to advise, but they have no real say. This is some place that the community can have a real say. There was also qualified candidates for the library board that got turned down. I mean, overqualified, that may have been able to help with the professional issues that seem to be going on. And as a final comment, I would like to pass along the advice that the current city manager once gave me. Perhaps you should retire. Thank you.
Jesse Orndorff. Thank you.
Good evening. I again want to kind of parrot her previous comments. I recommend keeping the current board of trustees in place as it currently stands. From listening to what's going on, although there may need to be some updates to their procedure or meeting standards to make everybody more even keel to the recordings and ability to have transparency, I think would do well. But putting things on an otherwise, as the staff has currently said over and over and over again, they don't have the bandwidth to take on anything else. They don't have the staff to take on anything else. So them voluntarily wanting to take on more and asking you as a council to take on more that you guys are already down members and overly stressed and in dire straits in many situations, to be taking on more responsibilities now doesn't seem prudent. I may just be off in the weeds, but I don't see where anything has been, any malfeasance has been done. I don't see where anything has been misspent or misappropriated or any reason to dispel the current situation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim Betancourt.
Good evening. I want to thank you all for the work you do and how you brought this city back, the financial in the black, which is a rarity in this county. That being said, it's also fiscal responsibility and accountability, and that's how you created that improvement. What we're seeing with the library and the trust funds is just the opposite. City Manager Ms. Brown, on August 2nd, 2025, created this report. It's a summary of the library trust funds. The staff went over to the county offices and did printouts. One of their printouts is from 1970, and the library board requested that the city attorney's office rule about the education code and what the funds are acquired by the library through gifts and trusts will be, one, maintained in a separate city fund specifically for the use of the library. That was in 1970, and that was the city lawyer advising the ruling. So then let's move ahead to June of this year. We had done a public records request, and in the reply, we were advised the city does not maintain separate bank accounts for the Elizabeth Dole Willows Library Trust Fund or the Francis Lowell King Willows Library Trust Fund. That's 50 years later, and now we don't have a separate trust fund. How and when did that happen? Were you aware of that? That the lawyer back in 1970, this report just came out, that it was supposed to be these trust funds were in a separate account. And now they're not. They're in the, they're kept in the city's cash pool fund. And so that's caused a problem. And the trustees from the library now recognize this problem because they've been asking about these funds and trying to get information. They wanted to see if there was any interest made, because the interest is what one of the funds says is exclusively to be used for, the library. And so this is a agenda item 5C from Marty Brown to the library trustees. And they were going to be talking about the Board of Trustees requested a report showing the financial activity of the trust fund accounts, as well as the interest earned in each account. Then down here at the bottom, it says attachment 3 shows interest earned for all trusted funds 2023, 2024 fiscal year, 24, 25 fiscal year. Will be accounted for in October 2025, last October. None of that occurred. The trustees received no accountability for the interest earned on those trust accounts. The public records requests we've made just recently, we got 2 years worth of balance sheets. There's no indication of interest earned from those trust funds. And that's why the trustees wanted it, because obviously they wanted that information. And you would think that for accountability purposes, you'd want to know where the money is, how much it's getting. But because the money is sitting in the city's cash pool fund, they can't break it out. And that's why it's widely accepted that library trust funds are typically separated from standard city cash funds and operating accounts. Mixing them risks losing the distinct legal status of the trust and can violate the donor's original intent. Those donors donated that money to you. They want that money available to be scrutinized, looked over, and controlled by the trustees. And that's what the trustees have been doing over the last 14 months. I sat in on some library board meetings, and there was actually 2 council members there. One was placed on the board, the other one was just attending, and it was adversarial. I felt sorry for the trustees. It was not a friendly situation. It wasn't cooperation, people working together to make things better. It was almost like they were under the magnifying glass being scrutinized. And these are the things that I've attended there. I've seen the trustees at work also. I see them at the Christmas fairs with their book sales. I see them with book sales down here. They care about this library. They have personal interests. They've lived and raised here. They've had their children here. They're teachers. They're not people to be condemned for anything, just like you aren't to be condemned for anything, because you're up there trying to do your best. And I'm hoping it's for the city of Willows. So I hope you make the right decision.
Thank you.
Tom Kelly.
Thank you, council members. I too am here to advocate for leaving an independent board for the library. You got a letter today from the supervisors, if I remember correctly, Councilmember Pride had a letter also at our last meeting in opposition to Marty Brown or anybody in the city taking over the effects of the library. I do agree there may be some legal jeopardy here that the city is involved with as far as these funds, and to advocate your responsibilities to an unelected out-of-town city manager to take over just does not make sense at all. So I would go for your idea of let's get this board back in shape, Gary, and continue as it is. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
Brian Ramos.
Brian Ramos. I was one of the board members up until June 30th. And I reviewed the city manager's, excuse me, memo to the city council dated July 28th. And the three board members find this memo extremely insulting. She made insinuations, accusations, and false information. So we would like to meet with the mayor off record. It can't be done in 3 minutes. And we would like to go over about 12 to 15 items that he is not aware of. Past actions done by the city manager. A toxic communications between the old library board and the city manager. Totally counterproductive. One of the things that made us upset is we were trying to find out the interest rate that was being earned on the trust funds. It took us 9 months to get an answer from the city manager. We finally received it, 2.1%. I would fire my broker if he was earning a CD or a money market account at 2.1%. You can easily get 3.5% to 4%. No problem whatsoever. That caused a problem because the librarian requested funds for children's programs this summer. But Ardith Brandon did not want to approve that request because we didn't know what interest was in the accounts, the two funds, McDole and the King. And we had asked for that. Hence, Mrs. Pride stood up and went way beyond, and she made $1,000 donation to cover one of the actions that the city librarian had requested. I hope that you keep the current Citizens Library Board with one council member as the liaison, which has been the past. Larry Domenigini was the liaison years ago, and Matt Busby, I assume, is still on the books for being a liaison. I don't know. Maybe it's Lori Pride.
Matt is still on the books as a Board of Trustees member because he's no longer a council member.
Okay.
And when I last talked to him, he is excited to serve on the Board of Trustees, as him and his wife are big bookworms, as he put it. Not his words, not mine, as he put it. So, and I believe most people in this room actually do like Matt. And I mean, I do. I think he's a good person. Yeah, no, I'm just saying, I think he'd be a good person on that board. I think his heart's in the right place for that board.
But we would like to request a meeting with you sometime in late August.
My cell phone's on
Yes,
my
we
business
have
card.
We have a lot of items we'd like to go over that you're not aware of.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Michelle Knight,
I didn't hear you. Carlene, you say,
Michelle Knight.
oh, okay. Sorry.
No, the clapping, I couldn't tell. Thank you. The community does not support the city taking over the operation of the library. The county board does not take and support this approach either. There is a strong possibility that the county funding contributions could even be reconsidered if independent oversight is not maintained through the current structure, including the volunteer board. If there are issues that need to be addressed, then address them. Work toward solutions through mature, respectful, and effective communication rather than removing a system that has community involvement and accountability. If the city manager assumes control of the library, it will likely create significant concerns and conflict within the community, as well as with other levels of government. We strongly encourage you to consider these consequences carefully and vote in a manner that respects the wishes of the community and preserves independent oversight. So I encourage you to please leave this as it currently is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dan Gupton,
Gentlemen, it's good to see you. I've been on the board, library board, off and on, going back to year 2000. I have never seen such a contentious change in way city managers operate as I've had in the last 3 years. I've gone through a lot of city managers since the year 2000. We always work together. Argumentative, the only time that we've been accused of that is when we go by the bylaws. These are what we are to abide by. One is the agenda, how we are to do that. We are to change that. We vote ourselves. Yet the city manager arbitrarily just said, this is what you're doing. No discussion, no talk, no nothing, and you're going to do it. All right. There's where the argument, we were going, no, we can't do that. We're doing this. And then we're called argumentative. The other thing is, since the year 2000, if a board member was going to stay on, they didn't have to say anything. And if they weren't going to go on, then of course there was an opening for the library board trustee. It's been that way since 2000. That's why you didn't hear anything from the 3 people that are now no longer available, because the city said, oh, they didn't reapply. We've never had to. Here you got people, I mean, I've got 9 years as a trustee, 5 as president, 11 years on the library, Friends of the Library, plus other training of that route. How would that compare with any of you that I would be competing against? Plus, I have a passion. I'm sure you do too. You guys are overworked. You have too much crap. I've been on so many boards. I know what you're going through. You don't need this. This is micromanaging completely. And we have a passion for the community. We are part to take away the input of the community to have possibly, like Gary said, can't do it, but to even mention that you're going to put 3 councilmen and 2 supervisors, you take away the community. And Gary, I have to go against you when you said what was your quote? A real librarian. Jody Mesa spent 15 years here. She was only here 3 days a week. She wasn't here 5. You said a real librarian.
That you're misconstruing.
That was
what I
never an
said.
attack on.
That was not.
Well,
I
maybe-
think very highly of Jody Mesa. Yes.
But you guys didn't say thank you to her when she left. Not one of you did. You didn't send a notice or a thank you letter or anything. And when a librarian on her own lunchtime had a going away party, she was written up by the city manager. Now, talk about causing conflict. That's not us doing it. That's the other side. You need to check with both sides before you assume that the allegations that are being made are true. We love the library. We love the community. We want to work, but we have our own guidelines. And when we're told we can't use those, we're going to raise hell. Thank you.
Car- Car- Carol McCoy.
Next up,
Carol McCoy.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. My name is Carol McCoy, and I'm just basically somebody who votes. And I came here today because I'm concerned. My background is I have a master's in museum studies with a minor in nonprofit business management. I also ran a very successful typesetting and graphic arts company in San Francisco for 15 years. In those 15 years, I doubled my gross in the first 3 years, every year, and I ran it at a 19 to 23% profit for the rest of the time. I had up to 15 employees, so I share some of your headaches, and I share some of your war stories. But stories I've heard here upset me a great deal. The library, I've spent a lot of time in libraries. And I've used them extensively, and I appreciate everything they've given to me. You have something as a city government. You have control over the vertical and horizontal of everything virtually in that library, except the trusts. And then you have a bunch of talented, well-meaning individuals who volunteer for the trust. And they oversee the trust. And their job basically is to make sure that the proceeds of those trusts are reinvested successfully in the library and that money goes as far as it can go. I see that there's a lot of derision and unhappiness here, and I really want it over with. I don't see the need for any of you to volunteer to be on the board unless you really have a vested interest in the library. I think you have enough to do. You're certainly responsible for enough, and you get blamed for enough. So, and I talked to a supervisor. He said, well, you know, we contribute to the Willows Library. And I said, do you know where the money goes? He said, no. I said, maybe you should ask. It seems to me that people who give you money should be financially responsible for it. The librarian, I'm sure, has to give you an annual report to her success and the running of her library. Those reports should cover the dividends and how they were spent in the library and how money received from government entities is spent in the library. So you do have control. So I don't understand why we're filling positions that have always been supported by the community. The community has a talented base of people that you can draw upon for these positions. There's no reason to tax yourself. Thank you.
thank you.
Christelle Betancourt. Christelle.
Okay, so I want to say that I was chosen to be on the board, and I was there for a year as a trustee, so 3 years ago, and then 2 years ago I was secretary. I had to fill in for Lisa Kennedy, who left, and I have to say that as a secretary, I took copious notes and I did a really careful job. I was really proud of how my minutes turned out because it was I was recording what people said. And but I do have to say that there is a definite trust issue, and that trust was eroded when Jody was driven out. So Jody Mesa was driven out. Now, I didn't really know anything about that, but I know that Marty, she forced herself into
that position until we found Christine, the new director. And she forced herself into writing the agenda instead of the president writing it, changing the format. And we were wondering, why is she just like stepping all over us and railroading us? There was no effort to collaborate with us. And she told us we were problematic when we didn't want to move into this council chambers. We had been in the Eubank room for decades and it worked just fine. And our library minutes and the library meetings were recorded in there. So we weren't being problematic. But I do have to say something super important. And I don't know if you know this, but on July 24th, and this is part of the trust issue. July 24th, the board meeting was happening, and I wrote this down because we were concerned that there was a high interest. There was the city manager was very interested in our trust funds. And we were like, well, we better protect those trust funds. That's our job. It's our fiduciary responsibility to take care of that, to take care of those funds. And so on July 24th, I wrote in my minutes, I said, I wrote down what Marty had said. She said, the city doesn't touch those funds. So then I wrote that in my notes. I submitted my minutes to the clerk, and I looked for them to be on the city website. And to my horror, they were not there. My minutes were not there. The city manager had posted those minutes of hers and left that part out. She left out the part that she said that the city doesn't touch those funds. So that's falsified minutes. Then the next time we were supposed to have a meeting, we were concerned that my minutes were not even considered. So we weren't going to pass those. We weren't going to approve those minutes. So the meeting hadn't even started, and Dan Gupton was the president, and he said that we couldn't do the meeting. Well, Marty screamed at Dan, and I was taken back, and I was like, oh my God, what is happening? I know it was like very toxic. And so ever since then, we were like really scared and kind of like stepping on eggshells. So then when we were told that we're not a good board or whatever, then I was like, wow, we have been bending over backwards to try to get along with everybody. We found discrepancies in some money, but we didn't like hold it. We were like, well, okay, financial mistakes. There's a $5,000 discrepancy at one point. And Joe Betancourt stepped in for the city manager at one of our meetings last October. And he said, yeah, I'll look into that. And there were other discrepancies, but we didn't make a big deal about it because we thought, well, there's a new finance director. Okay, we understand. But it was those questions that we were asking that made, I guess, people uncomfortable. And so that's why there's this toxic, or there was, I don't know, I reapplied to be on the board. I actually reapplied. I don't think I'm going to get chosen to be on the board if you keep it the way it is, because I've gone and done a open records request to find out about the interest earned on those trust funds. And so I know that I'm probably not a favorite, but I'm very passionate about the library, and I just hope that you keep the library the way it has been.
John Lowe.
Evening, Mayor, Council. I'm John Lowe. I'm here tonight to talk to you about the Library Board of Trustees. And I'm asking you to vote no and keep the 5-member Citizen Library Board of Trustees. I say this for 3 reasons. the law, the money, and the trust of these people here. First, the law. California Education Code Section 18910 was written for a reason. It says a public library shall be managed by a board of 5 citizen trustees appointed by the mayor with the consent of this council. It was designed to be an independent citizen body, not the council itself. The 5 principles in the California State Library Trustee Toolkit, which your own board was discussing in December, says trustees must be independent advocates for the library, not the city council. Second, the money. Under Education Code Section 18951, all money acquired by gift, bequest, or device for the library shall be apportioned to a library fund separate from the general fund. And under Section 18952, if the gift has conditions, you must preserve it according to those conditions. Now, Willows is blessed to have these trusts like the McDowell Trust Fund. It's Fund 204, I believe, in your city records. And the King Bequest. Those donors did not give their money to City Hall. They gave it to the library. That money is a charitable trust. And under Probate Code 16002, you, as a public agency, have a statutory duty. You have to administer that trust solely in the interest of the library. You're the checks and balances. You're not the administrators of that fund. You're the oversight. The last point is commingling. And understand what Vice Mayor Thomas, what you're talking about having a single fund and the interest rate you can earn on those things. But your own library board minutes from August 28th and October 16th of last year show the board asking finance why $5,000 was missing from account 209 and why a $7,000 balance became $300 and why the McDowell Fund detail report did not match the city's report. Finance said it might be a data entry error. The board asked for clean accounting, and unless I'm mistaken, that accounting has never come. So if the city council now votes to become the library board, you're removing the very independent check that is asking those questions. You'd be both the custodian of the money and the auditor of your own custody, and that's a conflict of interest. You do have a fiduciary responsibility to the citizens who elected you and to the donors who trusted this city to prove these funds have not been commingled. That means keeping the independent 5-member citizen board, ordering a clean outside reconciliation of funds 204 and 209 and all library trust accounts and publishing that information. The library is the heart of this town. My grandkids love the library. There needs to be better dialogue between the council and the trustees. And I agree that the trustee meetings do need to be public. They do need to be recorded. You have to work together on this. Thank you.
Susan Dominiguini.
Good evening, Susan Dominiguini. First, I want to thank you for the additional work that was done since the June meeting when it was initially put on the agenda and really looking at different options and keeping the board as it is back on the agenda. I also want to thank you for, and these words are intentional, a full-time, qualified, and capable library director. We've not had a full-time, qualified, capable library director for a very long time. Jody, I think actually was doing a favor for me when I said, would you consider taking a part-time in Willows and do that? And that was 15 years ago. So she did me a favor for a very long time, and I'm very grateful for her. And the children's librarian, and then support for things like updating the computers for the library. So I do thank you for that. This is a board that I feel like really does support the library more than, and some in the past, and I appreciate that. I realize there has been some pretty toxic conflict. Both sides feel it, and that just saddens me and disturbs me deeply because this is, these are people that sit around and read books. We're not usually in fights, so this is kind of different. I did a lot of research after the June 23rd meeting and looked at a number of different things. And I do think, yes, we need to update the main agreement, but there's a lot of other things that need to be updated too. So I saw things like in the ed code, the municipal code, and then the library policies that don't match. So, and those kind of things cause conflict. You have, this policy says we do this, and this policy says we do that. And though we've gotten along with it pretty well over the past 30 years, obviously when something comes up, then we end up with conflict. So I saw things like use and control of funds need to be clarified, governance responsibility, establish a new schedule of turns to match the ed code, establish monthly meetings that review and expanded funds and balances, operational funds, trust, friends of the library, and other appropriate library functions, establish process for hiring, firing, and compensation, establish regular joint meetings with, like the Planning Commission. Keeping it is important in that it continues the community engagement, continues support for specific areas for the library director, increases the city workload, and politicize the library decisions. I think one of the things I looked at as I read the ed code was how clear and specific this is. I've read a lot of ed code. This is like detailed, very specific. No swishy kind of gooey stuff. It's just all really clear. And so that tells me that there's been, back in the 70s, there were problems and they wanted to make it really clear. And let's see. And then that outreach, the specific outreach, when you have this board, you can look at things like the library director can say, this is a population I want to serve more. So parents of children in elementary school or members of the district that are involved in the libraries of the district. These are all things that through this kind of appointment, it gets away from sort of the politicalization of the library, which, sorry guys, but that's what you are. You're in the politics of it and would allow it to be more community developed. I wondered about the supervisors being engaged. I would love them to be engaged. I've been around for a long time. We're lucky they give us money. So, and that's just I think back in the 2000s, they threw out the MOU and said they weren't going to pay as much as it's supposed to anymore. And so I'm not looking that they're going to be very helpful to us. So trainings that I see, yes, Brown Act, boardmanship, clearly the finances, I hear the questions that are being asked, and from my understanding, there's a difference between an account and a fund, and those two terms are being used consistently as one. Goal setting, and specifically, as I said before, clarification of roles and processes. So beyond just the agreement, really much more than that. So we're sure that when we ask for finance information that we get it with the right amount of time. Again, thank you for the support. And I thank the community as a whole for voting in Measure I, which includes the support of the library. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all.
That's it. Okay. Council comments. Vice Mayor Thomas, anything to add?
Not at this time.
Okay. Councilmember Hanson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, thank you for everyone's comments and your thoughts and your concern and for caring for our community and for the library. It's a good thing. No, I'm in favor of option A, which once again was retain the current library board of trustees structure. Just like I said earlier, the Reading model that was presented is interesting model. And, you know, there are some municipalities, I've said, and Mr. Lowe made some comments. Some municipalities do have their city council serve as a library board, and it is lawful. But before going any further, Marty, did you say that Joey, our finance director, is online?
I don't know if
She was earlier, but that's been a couple hours ago.
she is.
Is she? Would it be possible? Hello, Joey. Can you hear us?
Hello. I'm
Hi.
still here.
Yeah. How's your vacation going?
It's going good. I'm in Minnesota, so it's about 10
Wow.
o'clock here.
Wow. Well, thanks for the time. It's a little later than it is there. What's it, 10 o'clock
Yes.
back there? Yeah. Anyway, thanks, Joey. So Joey,
You're welcome.
just for our review and for our citizens' information, you've been listening, correct?
I have,
To our
yes.
discussion. Okay, very good. Could you just briefly state how those library trust funds are held under the city financial umbrella and how that works briefly, please?
So how the city trust funds are, it's in a pool cash, say like a money market account where it has, for instance, for an example, say $500,000. That $500,000 collects interest. At the end of the fiscal year, we do an allocation among all the different, it's called a fund balance. And within those two different trust accounts, the fund balance, let's say one of them's $50,000. So it would get approximately a certain percentage of that interest that's accrued for that money market account for the year. And that takes place at the end of the fiscal year. And the city does not touch the interest. It does not go towards anything else. It's in a reserved money market account. And then within the city's own ERP or Tyler system, we have different funds. So say 204 is one of the trust funds. The other fund that I heard tonight was 209. That's actually a donation. It's not a trust fund. And so then the other King's Fund, I believe it's in Fund 214. So those two separate trust funds, 204 and 214, are two separate trust funds that have a respective balance. So say that the trust, somebody donated $10,000 back in the 1960s, the fund balance is now $50,000. And within the bylaws or within the, within that trust, they said that we could only utilize the interest for the library. So of that $50,000, let's say $40,000 is interest, we could only spend $40,000, and that principal, the $10,000, would not be touched. And of course, it would be at the library, the board of trustees. It would be at their discretion.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Joey. Did you have something further? I didn't want to cut you off. I'm sorry. No, thank you, Joey, for that.
So that's how that works.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Because in our annual budget documents every year, and you have, since you've been our finance director, supplied all of this information in detail with the interest for library trust funds that are held separately, obviously, and not touched for any other purposes of the library. That's very clear and documented in our annual budgets. Correct?
Correct. And the other thing is that we don't want to take those trust funds and put them in a CD where it's going to be locked for 36 months, because say that the board of trustees, the library needs part of that money, and they want to purchase something to benefit the library and the community. If we have that in a locked account, a locked CD, that's not liquidated assets, liquidated funds for them. Then it's just an asset. It's in a CD for 36 months. And if you try to withdraw that, then there's penalties. So it's just, you also have to look at the liquidity and just the whole nature of what the person intended those funds to be utilized for.
Right, exactly. But you get into a locked 36-month or longer account, or even shorter, with the penalties, you're going backwards, correct? It doesn't make any sense.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. And I just, thank you, Joey. I just wanted everyone to hear it from the horse's mouth being your proverbial horse's mouth or finance director, how the trust funds are handled, and that they are not touched for anything else, nor is the interest. It's strictly for library related funds under the purview of the Library Board of Trustees, correct?
Correct.
Yes. And our review and my colleagues' review are massive budget documents on a regular basis, but also especially on an annual basis, which we just recently did for approval of the budget. So when I hear, you got to be careful of the keyboard warriors out there that don't have the correct information or misinformation. Okay. So ask questions of the people that know the answers. So these are the legitimate answers. The trust funds are not being abused by anyone, nor the interest. Let me start over.
No.
The trust funds nor the interest thereto are not being abused or misused or misrepresented or defrauded in any way by any member of the City of Willows City Council or management team, correct?
Correct.
Excuse me. Okay. I was polite. And listened to everyone. Okay. That's the way I operate. Okay. So can I, with that, I don't know who just yelled at me, whoever it was, just come on. Can we please refrain ourselves? I'm just speaking. Jim, I listened to you. I didn't interrupt you. Okay. All right. Thank you. This council discussion, you know how that works. Okay. So I'm not disrespectful to anyone here. So please, we're friends too. So can we just have that understanding? Thank you. I accept it. Thank you, Jim. You're a good guy. So thank you. But I just heard something. So anyway, no, I won't tell anybody. It's okay. It's okay. No, thanks, Jim. So sorry about that. Just wanted to make sure that, we're not crooks up here. Okay. The trust funds are secured, as I said earlier. Okay. They're under the city financial umbrella, which you just heard Joey outline how that's handled and why they're handled, which would answer my, what was mentioned earlier about a 2.1% return. That's why, correct, Joey? We're at a 2.1% return because, you can't lock for the longer term.
Correct. Because of liquidity. I mean, we can't
Right.
sit there and lock something in and then all of a sudden say, at the board's desire, they want to spend some of that money, but it's locked into a CD, then we would get penalized and then it would wipe out all that interest plus some.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Joey. And like you said, we've seen the trust fund balances and the interest and the entrance derive from those funds. So, on a regular basis and especially on an annual basis with our budget. Okay, Joey, thank you. Did you have anything further, Joey, you wanted to add?
I didn't.
Okay. No, thank you very much for answering those questions. So I just want to make sure that our public knows that the funds are there, they're safe, they're secure, they'll be utilized for, library services at the discretion of the board. And Dan, Mr. Gupton, Dan, I meant no slight to Jody Meza. Jody was where are you, Dan? Is Dan still here? Oh, hello, Dan. Sit next to Maria. Jody, as you know, Jody was our library director for 15 years. She was a City of Orland employee, as you know, and we had her basically half-time, and she served us very well. So when I said Christine, I would just say, for those of you, Christine's new. Okay, when I meant real librarian, Jody was a real librarian. Christine's a real librarian. Okay, right. Okay. Okay, Dan. Okay, Dan. I'm not petty, but thank you for your comments. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Public comments are over.
So
Gary,
sorry.
finish, please.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So with that, I recommend that we, retain the current structure, a library board of trustees. I started to say earlier, I'm a number of boards, commissions, and committees. I really don't have time to sit on as a library trustee. I think the world of libraries and our library. I was a library rat back in Princeton when in our little Princeton Library growing up on the ranch. Okay. And when I at Princeton schools. So, anyway, I just want to say thank you, Christine, for all the work that you've done. Appreciate the work that Jody did before you. We've got a great library delivering awesome services. Keep up the good work. That's all I have to say, Mr. Mayor. And it's your turn for comments now. I think I covered all the bases that I wanted to cover. I think so. Thank you.
Was that a form of a motion that you made?
You know, Mr. Mayor, do you have
Comments?
comments?
Do you have any further comments?
No.
Do you have any further comments, Evan?
Can I make a
No,
quick
I think
comment? I just wanted to clarify something for the council. If the council elects to go with option A with no change, then the current 37-year-old agreement that you pointed out, Councilmember Hanson, will stay the same because it requires both entities to agree to any kind of new agreement. So if you ever wanted to change that agreement, both the Library Board of Trustees and the council would have to agree and vote on it to
No,
approve.
that's not what it says, Marty. It's either.
No, that's not what it says.
That's not what it says.
What it says is that this agreement shall be reviewed whenever the majority of either the Board of Trustees or the City Council desires. It does not state that it can be amended.
Okay, then
So it's-
I'm going to ask it to be, thank you.
But any amendment would have to be at the agreement of both.
Did I say amended? If I did, I apologize. I was reading the sentence of the agreement.
I just wanted to point out that it's not a unilateral change. If you want to make any changes to the agreement, both entities
good.
have to agree to it. And if one side, can I finish, please? If one side wants to dissolve it and review it and just dissolve it, then we're under state law, which has a lot more authority. There's a lot more rules, as we've heard people read this evening. So those are kind of the two options if it stays as is.
Okay, very good. I was just curious about any possible legal updates. It's a very brief document, so very good. Thank you. Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Gretchen, for clarifying that. I'm sorry, Evan.
No, you're fine. So I as well am not one that wants to sit on another board. I was a liaison to the library board. I actually enjoyed being a liaison to the library board. I learned a lot of different things that the library actually had to offer being in that position. And I was excited to come into council chambers when I used to sit all the way over there and share that information. Unfortunately, as I came into this position, I had to give up a couple of my other positions, and the liaison was one of those positions I gave up. With that being said, I am a favor of option A as well. I do hope that a future library board and the council can come to an agreement to put everything else aside, as I have been hoping we could have possibly done throughout the time. By extending the olive branches of making sure that we had a full-time, library director and then a full-time children's library to make sure that we're offering our community the best that we can. And that's my goal, is to make sure that the library is the best that it can be for the people that visit it. I received a email that I was reading up here earlier, and it talks about when we were less fortunate, we used the public library quite a bit for our education and different things like that. And that's an important aspect to have in our community. So with that, I could go on and on and on, but I think that as far as I am feeling, this council has come to a decision. So I don't see a reason to drag it on any longer. And then hopefully in the future, we can work together with the new library board and go from there, depending on how my colleagues feel. So I will leave that up to my colleagues to make a decision.
Mr. Mayor, in reference to library board structure and appointments, I move to approve option A, no change, retain the current library board of trustees structure in the existing agreement with the city council. Attachment 1, and direct staff to immediately begin recruiting to fill the 3 vacant positions on a library board of trustees.
Okay, I have a first. Is there a second? I will second that.
I
Further comment?
Well, I just wanted to, we have an agreement that's 40 years old. And since that agreement was written, we have computers, we have a whole host of new rules, we have new Brown Act issues, we have state law and the whole 9 yards. I think it's important that we actually update that agreement as part of this effort.
I would agree. However, we have to make sure that we're going to move forward to appoint the positions, to discuss with that library board of trustees, to come back and update that agreement, to then go back and make sure that it's correct. There's a lot of back and forth in all of this. And this is why government is so slow. So I apologize. So I would say that my vote is putting the faith in the community to be willing to work with us and trust us to be willing to work with them.
I can put my faith there.
Okay.
My motion stands, Mr. Mayor.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes 3-0. Yeah. Before we start the next agenda item, as I am sure a lot of you were here for the library board, we're going to take a quick 5-minute recess. And that way people that do want to vacate can, and who need to use the restroom can.
Quick, before we take that meeting, I just have 2 comments, 2 questions for clarity. Mr. Councilman Hanson, you made the comment in your comments that we shouldn't take false information and assumptions, and if we wanted answers, we should ask the questions. However, there has been multiple times over multiple meetings that we have asked pointed and direct questions, and we don't get direct answers. So we have no choice but to either do the research by ourselves and come up with it, or go with whatever happens to be available. Because
Jesse, can we talk about this during the break, and then I'll bring it up during council comments
okay,
and answer your questions then? Is that fair?
question and comment I had was about the funds. It's been pointed out that we can't use CDs because that avoids the liquidity, but for the funds that we're not allowed to touch the principal on, we only can access the interest. What harm is it to lock up the principal in a CD and only have access to the interest when we're only authorized
Jesse,
to operate?
I sorry, the discussion's over. I will take your questions. I'll come down and talk to you. Thanks. And we are going to break at 8:21.
21. Okay.
All right. With that, we are returning back from our break at 8:38. Continuing on, we will starting with item 11C, Neighborhood Watch Program. Authorize the city manager to execute an agreement with Crime Free Living to assist the city of Willows in establishing a neighborhood watch program in the amount not to exceed $16,000. City manager, I'll give this over to you.
Thank you. This item kind of came out of seeing a lot of interest from the community and talking about maybe starting a neighborhood watch group. And I thought that maybe we could provide some resources to help support the community if that's something that they're actually interested in. And this is a one-time expense. It's not hiring somebody or ongoing expense to help with groups in the community that are interested, start neighborhood watch groups. So it's a neighborhood watch program. Tim Truby is a crime prevention specialist. He's also retired law enforcement, and he's had this consulting firm for a number of years now, probably I think over 10 years, 13 years, and has 26 years of experience in security and crime prevention profession. He came as a recommendation by Mike Maloney, our PD consultant, and it's just up for council consideration and discussion. And that's really, I just wanted to try to offer some additional support given our stretched circumstances right now. And if the council's interested to move forward with a program like this, all I have.
Okay. Vice Mayor Thomas, any questions? Okay. Councilmember Hanson, any questions?
No, I don't. No.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Marty, how would you see this being implemented? Would this be where you hold a town hall sort of setting and different groups would come in? Would he be willing to meet with different neighborhoods?
Yes, it's in his proposal, the attached proposal. He talks about how many groups, how many meetings, I believe he said that The fee would include community meetings, neighborhood organizing, volunteer training, printed education materials, administrative support, citywide training event, and a final project report. And my understanding from talking with Tim is that usually once you implement all of that over the course of like roughly, I don't know, 9 to 12 months, then usually the groups, have training and they kind of support themselves and take on a life of their own, really. And so that's what we would envision doing over the course of 9 to 12 months, getting the community to that place.
Okay. Questions now? No. I know. I'm not missing it. With no more questions, I will go into public comment. Oh, sorry. Vice Mayor.
Can I have a, okay,
Microphone.
sorry,
Thank you.
moved it away. How many support a neighborhood watch program supported by the city, and the city spending 16,000? Up to 16. How many are against it?
Don't do it.
So in the interest of brevity, we'll take a few. I don't mean to usurp your authority, Mr. Mayor, but we have a lot of people that are against it, majority in the audience. Let's hear a few comments, but not repetition.
Yeah. Yeah. How is the written? Do we have any public comments?
Yes,
Cards?
Michelle Knight.
You know, we can accept public comment. I just
Yeah.
thought maybe we could avoid 3 hours of it.
Yeah.
I'll try to take less than 3. I, along with many others, cannot understand why public funds are being considered for the use to hire someone to organize and supervise this program when members of the community are already volunteering their time to organize and operate a similar program. If the program is already being organized through community involvement, it is difficult to justify creating a paid position for responsibilities that volunteers are already willing to perform. If city leadership devoted more time to engaging with the community and maintaining a meaningful presence among the residents, and I don't mean you guys, I've seen you in the community, by the way. Among the residents they serve, they might have a better understanding of the volunteer efforts already underway. Greater involvement with the community would provide valuable firsthand insight into the existing programs and help ensure that public resources are directed toward genuine needs rather than duplicating services that dedicated volunteers are already providing. This appears to be yet another example of the city's inclination to spend taxpayer dollars in order to create the appearance of taking action. Furthermore, I question the insistence on using valuable law enforcement funds for this purpose. The city has stated that funding is available within the law enforcement budget to support this expenditure. However, organizing and supervising a volunteer community program does not appear to constitute a legitimate law enforcement function. This raises important questions about whether law enforcement funds can legally be used for this purpose. At a minimum, it creates concerns about whether these funds are being spent in accordance with the intended purpose and whether the expenditure complies with applicable laws, budgetary restrictions, and principles of fiscal accountability. I believe these are reasonable questions that deserve a clear and transparent public explanation before any funds are committed if you were to decide to do this. Thank you.
Well, to answer your question, the funds are general fund money, so they can technically be spent. However, obviously we have them ear tagged for law enforcement, but I think that kind of answers your general question of where the funds are coming from and the legality of using them.
I would also like to point out, I don't believe this item is listed here to try to snow anybody in the public. It was listed to try to show the city is actually trying to come up with other ways to assist you as citizens. And that's why I asked the question, because if there's no stomach for the expenditure, I didn't have a whole lot of stomach for the expenditure either. But at the same time, let's be fiscally prudent.
Right.
And if you really don't feel that it's necessary because you have a grassroots effort going on that's successful, then far be it for us to stand in the way. We were trying to offer some solution for the assistance making it better for everybody. It was not attempt to show anything. And that's where, unfortunately, the opinions and the views take a negative look at what the city's been trying to do rather than something that's positive. And I think this was intended as a positive effort.
I see. Well, I think we, many of us are wanting to volunteer for such a program. I think that in and of itself is a really positive thing to think about. But I think using funds that were intended to provide real, legal, legitimate law enforcement
Nobody's
services
disagreeing with you.
to protect all, not some, but all of our citizens in Willows would be a more effective way of using such funds. Thank you.
Next.
I don't have any other cards
Oh.
unless there's anybody in the audience.
Might have crossed it off. I don't remember. Hi, I'm Marlena Sparkman. On August 18th, we are having a town hall by the people for the people. And what it is about, it's not to complain about the city council or any of the staff. It's nothing like that. It's about us as community members taking accountability and saying, what can we do to step up and help out? There's been a lot of things going on with Marvell closing and other things. People are complaining about the way the town looks. Well, what can we do? What can we join together and volunteer to do? And at the top of the list is Neighborhood Watch. Kat's putting it together. We're going to meet that night. We already have, I think, how many volunteers do we have? How many? 284 people that have volunteered already. And she's looked it up. She's researched it. There's a bunch of us that are going to help her so that we can break it down. However, I'm not doing the research. She is. I'm just helping. But so I think that we've got that part of it where we're willing to help and to look after each other, because that's one of the things that we can do. And we'll have some questions for the city probably. We don't know yet about like liability insurance, if we have to worry about that or some different things. But when the time comes and we have all the questions, we'll find Evan or somebody and come and bring you a list of questions to try to work
I
together.
don't know the answer to those
You got
questions.
that big fancy title, mister.
And I think that was, so if there's no more public comment.
No,
is there any
but
more-
everyone is invited, and it's
Yeah.
at the Arc on August 18th at 6:00.
18th, Marlena, you said 18th? Oh, thank you.
My goal behind this and making sure it was on the agenda was, I'm sure we have the people that want to volunteer to do it. I'm just sure we don't have any professionals and that have set them up before. And so to me, this seemed like, all right, here's the guidelines. Here's the cookie cutter. This is the general layout. How can we make this more specific towards Willow's needs? Where you guys are starting off with step 1, hopefully this would get us to step 10. Start us on step 10 instead of step 1. That was my thought behind it. But it sounds like that's a general no-go. So is there any further public comment? Please step up to the mic and state your name. Oh, sorry. Can you lift the mic up just a little bit?
Sorry, not good public. I think it's a great idea that the community and the city wants to help start a volunteer neighborhood watch. And myself, I would be all for it if there would be guidelines. But amount of setting up the guidelines and not having a monthly expenditure of having to keep on using their services. But in the beginning of the set of the amount would be beneficial for all of us. And it would be appreciative because it would show us how to do it professionally and make sure everything is gone correctly. Thank you.
So, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor. So I'm sorry, your recommendation was a partial program then to get initially set up?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
So, and just to answer kind of your question, this is a one-time essentially setup fee of the $16,000 that'd be admitted just to get it started. After that, there's no consistent, continual renew membership or anything like that, unless it's a separate contract for the long-term sustainability, but that'd be a separate contract. So just to kind of answer that question.
Hi, Rick Beatty. I'm kind of in line with if the community has the support to have their own system in place. What I'm hearing you say is up to 16,000 one-time money maybe you only spend 1,000 of it as a consultant because they have everything organized except for, like you said, make sure we're legally doing what we need to be doing. And I don't know, out of the 280 people that they have gone, I'm sure they have professionals on their list already. But if you approve it today, it doesn't mean you have to spend it. You just approve it and it sits there for a year.
Marty, if we approve this, how does that work out? Is this essentially
Okay, so when
signing
the
a
council
contract?
approves something, I go execute and implement it. So if you're going to approve it, I'm going to go implement agreement. So please don't approve it if you don't want me to implement it, because that's how our relationship works. You approve policy, I go implement. So if you don't want me to do it, then let's not approve it. I mean, it's up to the council. But otherwise, I would execute an agreement and he would start working with the community. I don't think any of us are in a position to answer some of the questions that were just mentioned without us also having to go do research. The point of hiring somebody who has done this for 26 years is they just walk in and can do it with all the materials. They know the liability off the top of their head. We would have to go research it and figure it out. And I work for the council. I don't work for individual members of the public to go do individual research on things like that. So the whole reason of this is to take something off of our plate and help the community implement something that they've shown a strong interest in. I think it's great there's 280 people that want to go do it. I just don't know that they can answer all the questions themselves about the structure, the liability that was raised. That's the whole point of this person.
I mean, I'm all ears at this point. It's whether or not to spend $16,000 on this.
We are prepared to do the work. If she's too busy to answer a question about liability insurance, and I'm not picking on her, we'll figure it out ourselves and we'll raise the money to get it. This is important to us to provide protection and safety for the people in our community.
I think what Marty's getting at is he'll say, hey, this is going to be covered under XYZ of the city's policy as a neighborhood watch program put on through the city.
Right.
Right. Because most
that.
neighborhood watch programs are put on through the city, if I'm not correct.
Yeah,
They-
lots of cities have them and lots of city hire consultants just like this one.
But as far as answering your questions and getting to the finite details, the hours that they would have to put in doing the research.
That's what I
to
hear.
help-
We'll
yeah.
do it. We've got it. We've got it.
Okay. Yes. Sherry Brown.
I think it's great that we have lots of people that want to do it, but I think that they're not the experts. And I think that it's worth paying some money to have somebody come in. You need a leader. You can't have 200 leaders. Just kind of throwing that up.
Yeah. If you have public comment, please stand up and just introduce your name.
You know, I sound like a broken record at every meeting, but was this competed? Do we get competition? How do we know he's the best, greatest consultant around? Maybe we could get the same information, the same direction for half that. But again, we've got to make a decision. We've got to do this right away. So was it competed?
Competed?
Did you get competition?
Was it bid?
The bid? No, it's
No,
professional services. It's not required to go out to bid.
And this came as a recommendation from our law enforcement.
Well, okay, but I still think there might be more people out there that could do it for cheaper.
And we could, but then we're talking weeks of waiting for responses and more delays in something that doesn't need to be delayed any further. So, with that, has the council come to a decision?
Yeah.
I mean,
I have.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Mhm.
just a comment. No, neighborhood watch programs are great. You know, I agree with Sherry, Rick, and Kat with your comments. So I was going to ask it. Rick already did a straw vote. So with that, so how many members of the public here tonight? Here we go. Here's another test for you. Another raise your hand deal. How many members of you would feel comfortable with hiring Mr. Truby to coordinate a neighborhood watch effort? Raise your hands. Anybody? How many? Keep up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Karen, where's your hand up or not? I'm sorry. Oh, okay. And how many are opposed? Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 to 7, I think was the count. But, neighborhood watch programs are great. And Rick being a law enforcement, Rick, I've known Rick forever, being in the same business. They're fantastic. Rick and I have had our own quasi neighborhood watch program since we first bought our house in town. Okay. And that was in my case was 1982. Not official, right? But keeping an eye out. That's how you catch bad guys. That's how you prevent crime. So, in order to do it right, it would be feasible to hire Mr. Truby, but is that what the public wants? I don't know. I'm torn on it, just like Rick, just like Evan. I'm torn on it. With Marty, this was Marty is always thinking outside the box. This was another wrench in the toolbox. As we work through our unfortunate situation we're having with our law enforcement services contract right now, moving forward, the recommendations, as Mayor Hudson said, was this came from Mike Maloney, our consultant that we hired on reestablishing the Willows Police Department as another option. Is this what the public wants? Is this what you want to spend the resources on? I'm torn. I'll tell me what to do. I'll do whatever you want. Okay. So I see the benefits, and also with Marlena, you and your associates. Thank you for stepping up and getting a group of folks together interested, trying to do the right thing. It's fantastic. It's great. That's the way it should be, and I'm glad it is. It's one of the nice things about this community. But I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know whether it's a good use of money or not. I commend Marty for bringing this item up as another option as we move forward. Years and years ago, there was at least one, I think a couple of neighborhood watch. There was one in the area of Pacific Avenue, neighborhood watch with the signs and everything up. And I think there were a couple of others around town that I'm going back in probably the 1980s now, maybe in the 1990s. And of course, I mean, things change, people move, people get old, people get sick, people pass away. So those are long gone, but it's we've had neighborhood watch before, but so I don't know. I'm torn. So that's all I had. I know that's not very helpful, gentlemen, but
Well,
I'm going to make a recommendation.
Mr. Mayor, I just had one thought. There's obviously like a big need right now, right? Like there's a big vacuum in the public safety vacuum. How I view this, and this really doesn't have anything to do with me as the fire chief, but kind of how I view it is it provides there's a fine line between public safety and vigilantism. And I think that this item would protect them. It would protect the city. There would be formalized training involved. Not that anybody would go out and do anything with malintent, but I think that with 265 people, I manage 30 people that are all really good people. And sometimes they make bonehead mistakes, right? That I'm like, oh man, I make them myself. And so I think it provides an opportunity, like a layer of liability protection towards the group of people. Like, hey, we've got some training. Oh, wow, I didn't know what that was. And I just accidentally violated somebody's Fourth Amendment, right? Or I just accidentally trespassed. And so it would help. I think it would help them if they want it. But I also think it would help the city with being able to provide a service, and there's some guardrails involved with like the training, the standardization, and I think it would help keep everybody actually out of some hot water. And then if something happens, like we can at least say we checked the box of providing the training. It was a collaborative effort together, and I think I commend them. It pumps me up. I wish I had 265 people banging on my door to come volunteer. But I see it as like this consultant's job just got way easier, right? Because there's a ton of people that sounds like they're active, they're excited, they're engaged. And now he doesn't have to go find the people. He just has to put the guardrails on for them and say, hey, don't do this. You'll go to jail. Hey, if you see something, how are we actually going to report it, right? Like there's some of those guardrails. I personally see it as a potentially good thing. And, I have a lot of faith in Mr. Maloney as our consultant. And I don't think that he would, he wouldn't be recommending it if it wasn't something that he saw as a positive. On the surface, I think it's $16,000 is a lot in my personal checking account, but in the scheme of like government spending, it's kind of a small number for a huge blanket of protection as far as liability goes, at the very least. That's my opinion. You guys get to ultimately make the decision. But from, I guess, maybe my public safety lens, if there was to be a rogue fire brigade that joined, I would be trying to join forces with them and put guardrails on them to make sure that they were safe and that they weren't doing anything they weren't supposed to do. So if I apply that lens to it, that's kind of where I end up.
Yeah, well said, Chief. You were correct. Thank you.
Question in a statement. So I have no idea what a neighborhood watch does. I feel like I live in a neighborhood that has its own neighborhood watch. So, example, one night my husband had his keys in his pocket, accidentally opened up the rear of the car, and so it was starting to get dark. And the neighbors, who were new neighbors, came over and said, "Hey, did you know this was happening?" The neighbors go on vacation. I can tell when the neighbors are on vacation because they close the curtains. When they're home, the curtains are open. So you kind of keep paying more attention. I feel my neighborhood right now does that. So I'm not sure what neighborhood watch goes above and beyond on that, but I feel like I live in a pretty good neighborhood. I've lived there for 35 years in that neighborhood. Seeing people come and go. I came in, I was the young family, and now I'm one of the older people, and new people have come in and out. But I'm not sure spending $16,000. I just don't know if it's worth it. Thanks.
Well, it'd be approximately 5% of our past law enforcement contract. Is that my math right on that? We're at
I
2.3 and it's 16,000. It's roughly
Yeah, in the
5%.
current budget, it's just under 2.5.
Yeah. Of starting a program that will last multiple years. So when I looked at this, and I was surprised by how many no hands I saw, somebody coming in and helping set up the system that everyone wants. When it's an investment in forming a neighborhood watch that could last 10, 20, 30 years, it doesn't seem like a small amount when you think about it over that sort of a time frame. But it is, like Chief said, it is when you say it's coming out of my pocketbook, right? But when we're talking just a little bit over 5% of our overall law enforcement budget to go towards that. With that, I'll leave it up to the pleasure of the council.
Well, I have one more comment. And my thought would be, if we let 11C Neighborhood Watch Program die for a lack of motion with the direction that as you get further down the road and you learn that there might be some need, that we could bring it back and talk about at that point in time. Because, grassroots are great. We got 284 people that are, whatever the actual number is, that's excited about it. If that starts to wane, did we waste 16,000? So I would suggest we just let this die for lack of motion with the authority or the instruction that if 1 or 2 or 3 months down the road, you find that you could use this assistance, bring it back for another discussion.
So I was going to suggest just postponing it to our next agenda.
You could do that.
And then that way we can at least have the conversation. I volunteer Marlena to come do a report on how the neighborhood watch town hall meeting went.
By the way, the 18th is also the same day we interview council members. We haven't yet decided where it's going to be. Well, if it's during the day, then we get accused of doing it where people can't watch.
During the day, then road.
So
It's approximately 0.6% of the current budget of law enforcement.
0.6?
Hmm.
A whole, wow.
Anyway,
That's a
I
lot of
thought
numbers
that
off.
might be a reasonable solution tonight as you get moving forward and you say, this is bigger than we actually thought. We could use some direction. And you've got motivation and the wheels turning, then it makes a lot of sense.
So,
Mr. Mayor,
yeah. Are we
On-
good?
Is that something? Oh,
I'm sorry, Rick, go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
No, Gary, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I was just going to ask Marlena and the team, would you, if we move forward with Tim's services, would you be willing to work with him at the, if he could be at the meeting on the 18th and to get things going? You know, I mean, that's kind of a you know, kind of a spin off of what Rick was talking about. Just moving forward with it, and then, and like what Chief Monk was saying, you know, obviously from an operational standpoint, a good operational standpoint, a planning standpoint, and a liability standpoint, which we have to concern ourselves with here. All of those matters. Would that be amenable if we moved forward with this and Tim was at the meeting to kind of help coordinate things and get this going?
I will.
I move to postpone this to our
Very good. Thank
next
you.
city council meeting,
Thank you, ladies.
To the August 25th council meeting?
the August 25th council meeting.
Yeah. I don't know if he would or not, but he would for $16,000. But I mean, you're talking about for just to come in. No, okay.
I can ask him, or
Yeah. Ask him and see if
Um,
Bill is willing to come for our next council meeting to give a
I mean,
presentation.
I can also just pay him to do it once.
Well, as we were talking, I mean, bring him on board and have him.
No, but just go to this one meeting. I mean, he can
well,
invoice me for a meeting and I can pay, I have the authority to just
If
pay
he
him
would-
for that
Sure.
if that's worth doing.
He wants the job, he'll come.
So,
Yeah.
sorry,
Okay.
Marty, is that? Okay, I'm gonna ask the public to take a quick break for a second. Marty, is that something that he would be willing to do, is if he show up to the August 18th city hall meeting and kind of present to them of this is what he would be able to offer?
I can ask him. I think there's a high probability if he's not busy or doesn't have another
Yeah.
meeting, that he would be willing to come. Yeah.
I think that that'd be the best way to move forward and then bring it up on the August 20th agenda, or 26th, our next agenda.
Okay.
And then that way, once he has time to go to the town hall, then we can reconvene and say, hey, this was a net positive experience for everyone.
Yep. Right.
Okay. With that, we are moving on to item, what is it? 11D. Private security city facilities recommended action, authorize the city manager to execute an agreement with Elite Universal Security for armed private security services in an amount not to exceed $13,000 per month. The agreement shall remain in effect until the city enters into a new law enforcement services agreement or reestablishes the Willows Police Department and resumes law enforcement services with sworn peace officers. Contact City Manager Marty Brown.
So this item is about only providing private security to city facilities, and that would include the Civic Center, fire station, and also the corporation yard. And as well as potential, that would be like normal business hours, 8 to 5, and council meetings. And the reason for it is because we, as a city, the council and management, have a heightened liability and responsibility that our employees can come to work and ensure that they're safe. And currently, under our current situation and the lack of a law enforcement agreement, there's not clarity about what is meant by the sheriff's public statement of complying with his constitutional and statutory obligations and duties. I don't know what that means. There hasn't been any clarity about what that means. As I think the council knows and the public knows, the sheriff's office is not responding to non-emergency reports. We're accepting those reports at this time until we have someone who is able to do investigations. So this is different than, with the public and the previous private security proposal that was brought forward about a month ago, which was really for the whole city. This is just for city assets and the employees and ensuring that they're safe while they're at work, since we don't know what exactly is meant by the current status and public statement of the sheriff's office. So I don't know if you have anything on that statement.
The city, as it has, places safe for all of its employees. As such, you know, making sure that there is no potential for injury, harassment, any of those things. We have that duty as an employer within the state of California to ensure that the employees are safe. And this would provide that particular assurance to the employees as well as to the council that we are fulfilling that duty that is required under the state law. And limiting the liability of the city should something happen. I mean, we've seen a shooting at the library in Chico just in the last couple of months. There was a shooting up in Seattle yesterday. So, I mean, this is something that is a potential issue nationwide, and we have an obligation as the city to protect our employees.
Any questions from the council? Vice Mayor Thomas?
No, not at this time.
Councilmember Hanson?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Gretchen, for that, because we do have a duty to provide a safe working environment. Any employer and any municipal employer within the state of California has a mandate. So I'm also torn between this, because we had extensive discussion on hiring a security firm. First of all, let me back up. Elite Security, the proposal is a great proposal. It looks like a solid company. I know they do come recommended from individuals I'm familiar with, or being a professional security firm. Once again, I'm torn. I'm torn because we had extensive discussion, as I sort of say, about hiring a security firm. Is one of the other wrenches in the toolbox, or our citizens on our citizens' behalf for protection in the absence of law enforcement, which it's security. It's not law enforcement, it's security. But I definitely want to provide a safe working environment. I just don't know if this is the right thing to do, because we bring a security firm in for the city employees and another level of protection and for city assets, which is a wise thing to do. I just don't know if they'd be sending the wrong message to my constituents for just doing it on behalf of the city employees, which we love and cherish. Our city employees, they're fantastic. They do awesome work and they deserve to be protected. But what kind of a message is that sending? That's my dilemma. That's my dilemma. Elite's a good company. From the research I've done, they're solid. They have good personnel. They don't pretend to be law enforcement. They're a professional agency. They dress professionally. They act professionally, from what I can tell so far. But that's where I'm torn. I don't know. I guess we can go to a hand vote again. So
Well,
I'm not going to do that, Evan. I'm just being facetious. But I just don't know. I want to keep our employees safe. They deserve to be safe. I'm torn. All I had, Evan. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Thomas, did any of your questions come back?
Well, pretty much what Gary echoes. It doesn't look positive to our citizens. I understand that. Our city council, or city chambers, or offices are pretty open, and that plexiglass isn't going to stop much. So whether somebody comes in and is harassing, or somebody that comes in that's threatening, or upset because a tree or something fell and they're over at the corporation yard, I think we need to have something that we can do to send somebody over there to say, get this under control. I'd like to think we wouldn't have that problem in the city of Willows. you never know what you're going to have. So I am equally as torn on this subject. I understand, especially with staff, if they're here late, leaving after 5 o'clock, or seeing homeless in the back. So, yeah, I don't know at this point in time.
Marty, would this be, would they be inside the building or would you have them be stationed roaming between the three properties and in their car?
They would mostly be at the Civic Center, but periodically throughout the day, they would definitely be roaming between the other two properties. I mean, Public Works is often out in the field and
But they would also be
fire
around the,
department also.
so it'd also be around the librarian when they're having events or children up
Yes,
there.
yeah.
They'll be around there. Yeah, I understand what my colleagues are saying about the optics of doing this for the city and not for the public. However, I do believe that it's our duty as employers to take the safety of our employees seriously. And this is obviously something that they're having a concern with. And hopefully, our law enforcement will be worked out shortly. Over the next, couple months, we can hopefully come to some sort of an understanding or however that works out. But in the meantime, Marty, is this a month by month? Is this a set term?
No, it would be just until, as stated, we either have a new temporary law enforcement services agreement with the sheriff's office or we have sworn officers here. Hopefully we are continuing to try to work on that, as the council knows. So hopefully we would be able to secure some sort of temporary law enforcement agreement with the sheriff's office as the city is rebuilding its and reestablishing its police department.
Okay.
So I don't know how long that's going to take, right? So that's
Right.
part
I
of the
just didn't know if it was like, hey, once you do this, we're locked in for a 1-year term or a 3-year.
No,
contract. It is
I did talk to the security company. They said it'd be nice to have 30 days, but they could terminate with 2 weeks notice.
Okay. With that,
And we can work that into an agreement if the council, that 2-week termination.
any further questions?
Yeah, Evan, one of your comments, the library, that's struck a chord with me. Our library patrons are kids. It's summertime still, for a couple of more weeks till school starts. That's also something else to consider. Having on-site security during the work week for our library patrons and especially the kids that are over there, because I spent my life since I was 19. Rick can appreciate this as well too. He's done the same thing, dealing with difficult, terrible people in situations. And if we had a crystal ball, I don't have one. I don't know if anybody else does. You had a crystal ball and you knew when it was going to happen or when it wasn't going to happen. But 20% of the people out there are challenged in one way or another. It's not the 80% of people the law enforcement deals with. It's the 20%. You need to protect the 80% from the 20%. So one of my biggest fears is one of those 20%ers enters this building and does something unthinkable, and it could happen at any time. If we move forward with that, I would not be in favor of the additional $1,400 for security at council meetings. I would not recommend that. But I'm still torn. But with the kids at the library, that adds another element. When you mentioned it, Evan. So I'm just thinking out loud.
If I could just add also, when I first thought about this, I actually called Mike Maloney, our PD consultant, and I said, I was thinking about this. What do you think about it? That I was actually going to call you and tell you, that I think you should do something in light of the situation. So I've talked to him about this extensively. He's familiar with the firms that were asked to bid. So there were 3 requests, only 2 responded. the council knows, and he's worked with Elite Universal, and he fully supports this approach and thinks it's important for the city to do something.
Okay. With that, we'll open up to public comment.
Michelle Knight.
The city has a duty to protect their employees. The city has a duty to protect the people of Willows. Let that sink in. The people of Willows, all of us, all of us. The fact that the city council is seriously considering spending public funds to hire security guards in an effort to protect yourselves. Wait, I want to go back. Our children are the most vulnerable. They sit at Murdoch School with the high school unprotected because you guys failed to sign a contract with the sheriff's office or to transition into a new Willows Police Department. That's where this sits. The fact that the city council is seriously considering spending public funds to hire security guards in an effort to protect yourselves, city employees, and the city manager is deeply disappointing and unacceptable. It's disturbing. What are the security officers even going to do? They can't make arrests. I mean, are they going to make phone calls to the, if something happens, are they going to make phone calls to the sheriff's office? Are they going to make phone calls to CHP? Do you seriously think they can make a phone call faster than one of you can? Because that's not even true. At a cost of $1,300 per month or $156,000 per year, those funds could have supported hiring the chief of police or help establish a collaborative effort with the sheriff's office to begin rebuilding our police department. Providing some level of law enforcement presence for the entire community is a far better path than allowing residents to continue without immediate or adequate protection. If this proposal is approved, you should expect the community to consider every available avenue to hold officials accountable, including recall efforts for yourselves, and the city manager may also face calls for her removal. Come Wednesday morning, you can expect bills on your desks. Well, maybe not your desk, but their desks. For the local victims who have not been protected, people who have had items stolen from them, people who have been physically assaulted and had to get medical care. This decision would send a deeply troubling message to the residents you are elected and entrusted to serve. While you appear prepared to invest in protecting yourselves, many community members who have been victims of crime are left questioning who is protecting them. The residents deserve leadership that prioritizes public safety for everyone, not just those inside City Hall. Once again, I question if it is truly appropriate to use funds to set up for genuine law enforcement services for this. Please do tell us, how many phone calls have you guys had to make to 911 since July 1st out of a city office? I have to wonder. Also, the phone number on your web page that you have people calling for your non-urgent matters, it's inadequate. It goes to a phone line that no one answers. So when you're handing out information for people to report crimes, you might want to have adequate and appropriate and up-to-date information. Thank you.
Tom Kelly.
This is real chutzpah. I got to tell you, having your own private security. The entire town would love to have private security. I mean, come on. We talk about wanting to work towards law enforcement, not Barney Fife again. Protect here. How many incidences have they had out at the city yard? Like this lady just said, the schools would love to be protected. Everybody loves to be protected. I could walk across the street and get shot. It doesn't matter. To spend $13,000 a month for your own private security is more than I just can't believe it. We're working. Mr. Maloney, I'm surprised that he would suggest such an expenditure if he's trying to work towards getting us a permanent police chief and a police force. So I am totally against this expenditure.
Marlena Sparkman. Okay. Maria Ehorn.
I am in agreement that we should not spend this money. This is my tax dollars, and I'm not getting anything from it. And I will tell you again, I worked in government for 25 years. I was the front counter person. I didn't even have plexiglass between me and someone else. And that's what I want to know. How many incidents have happened that you think this requires this? The rest of us don't have that, any kind of security. And I know we didn't want private security. I get that. But how about instead we just get the police chief and maybe one other officer? They could work 8 to 5 to start with, and at least we'd have something for everybody. And like I said, working the counter is, I've had people come up there, crackheads and whatever, and people who just don't want to hear what I have to tell them because it's not what they want to hear. I have yet to have somebody climb over the counter after me. I've been yelled at, yeah. I've even had one guy come in who called my boss a loser at the counter. But, you know, in the scheme of things, just providing safe workplace for people. You know, I worked in a place where I didn't think it was super, super safe. We all had a word, you know, was going to be our emergency word, Rumpelstiltskin, so everybody could run when somebody came in. 25 years, nothing, absolutely nothing. And I'm not saying it can't happen. I know it happened in Butte County at the library, but again, that doesn't, it could still happen in the library, even if we had police here. And they may not get here in time to stop that either. So I think this is not an appropriate use for your tax dollars for the community. Thank you.
Jesse Orndorff.
Members of the council, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so $13,000 for a mall cop. I thought we went through the absolute idiocy and ineffectiveness of private security in placement of law enforcement 2 months ago. The fact that this has come back up again just absolutely blows my mind that it's even being considered as an option. And the fact that Mike Maloney, who we've spent $60,000 to advise us on law enforcement matters, is advising that this is a feasible solution, I've lost faith in that $60,000 investment. So speaking of the $60,000 investment, we've not gotten any kind of update of what progress that's even made. We'll address that later. How about we spend $13,000 a month and hire an off-duty officer from another jurisdiction to patrol here? Oakland does it. San Francisco does it. They hire officers from other jurisdictions to come in and work shifts on their PD because they don't have the funds or the ability to staff their own to proper levels. Why can't we do that? I'm sure that somebody from the sheriff's department or Orland or Williams would be happy to come up here and make some extra money. Has that even been considered?
That will be answered during the city manager's report out. She has a report out regarding that.
Instead of actually having law enforcement, we're going back to dealing with a private security, which is no better than any private citizen that straps on a black shirt that says security and walks around with a baton or a taser or, God forbid, one of these idiots with a firearm. I've seen a few of the elite guys running around in Chico. I wouldn't trust them to guard my chicken coop, let alone guard anything in town of any kind of value. I don't know about the entirety of the company, but the few that I've seen, I have no faith in the rest of the company. Maybe I just got the two oddballs. But that being said, if we are going to spend money on just the average citizen that's going to do something for the legal ability, the average citizen, why not speak to the average citizens that are here? There is ample former military, former law enforcement that I guarantee would be willing to come on a part-time basis to help guard public facilities, the school systems, public areas, the civic center, 8 to 5, 9 to 5, whatever business hours are, do roving patrols, armed or otherwise. But instead of looking to stay in our community and foster our community, we continually see options being presented that go outside of our community that at face value is absolutely worthless. I appreciate the direction you guys are going. Just the OSHA general duty clause, provide a safe and healthy work environment. Good for you. But as it's been stated, the employees of this town aren't the only ones that we need to be worried about. And for the amount of money that we're being asked to be okay with being spent, we're going to get what? One guy in a car that has no legal authority to do anything other than the same thing that I or you or the guy out there or some kid walking down the street has the authority to do. And we're going to spend money on somebody else instead of doing it here. Or take that money and do a volunteer basis, which I'm sure we could come up with, and put that money into actually getting sworn officers back on the streets here. I know that I don't see everything. Nobody in the public here sees everything. That's one of our biggest complaints as a public is we don't get full transparency of everything. We get bits and pieces here and there, and we try to figure it all out as we go. I understand there's probably a whole lot more going on here that you guys are privy to. I know that there's a whole lot more going on that the city staff is privy to. We're not aware of what's going on between the city and the law enforcement with those negotiations. We understand those are done behind closed doors. We don't have any updates to those to know whether they're positive, negative, stalemated, or what's going on. So we're just sitting here in limbo, and we hear 2 months ago, no, we're not going to do private security. It's a bad idea. It's utterly worthless. And then we hear, hey, we want to do private security again. So as a private citizen, I'm sitting here going, we just dealt with this. The entire council said this is a bad idea, and now they're legitimately considering this again. What changed from 2 months ago that it was a bad idea to make it a good idea now? We're not protecting the door at bingo. We're not guarding a gymnasium door, letting people in or out one at a time. This is legitimate protection that needs to happen, and private security is not the answer.
You're at time. So please finish up. Oh,
No,
do you have any more comment cards?
I do. Karen Johnson.
Evening, gentlemen. Just a quick question here is how many times in the last 30, 60, or 90 days has the city needed 911 services or police services that would warrant spending $13,000 a month for armed security? I'm sure that Ace Hardware and Marvell's and Beverage House would all like to have armed security for their staff and their employees, because as city council, your responsibility was also to all of your taxpayers and your constituents. And people's perceptions become the reality. And that's one thing I want you guys to kind of just remember is people's perception becomes the reality. That was told to me years ago, and it sticks with me. And the other one is trust but verify. So when you're hearing stuff out there, just trust and verify from all of your sources. Not just think that everything you hear on social media is a bunch of BS. So that's it.
Any more comment cards?
No.
Okay. I think we have a pretty general understanding of how the audience is feeling about this. Are you guys okay with us going to make our comments and our decisions? Okay. Okay.
Good evening, Gina Taylor. As a Willows Unified School Board member, I just want to remind the City Council that school starts next Thursday, August 6th. There's a serious concern about how do we keep our schools safe in the environment we're in. And I would encourage, not knowing what the current status is of the negotiations with Glenn County, I would encourage you to direct your city staff to utilize every single resource available. Time is money, and you can't come to an agreement with Glenn County soon enough. We're dancing, you guys are dancing around this issue by hiring consultants, all these different little contracts, when really that time and money should be used to negotiate with Glenn County. Let's get this over with and get back to a safe, secure city, please.
I'm going to go to council comments. Vice Mayor Thomas.
I understand the concerns of the people and I understand the concerns of the staff. But I don't think I can support this.
Councilmember Hanson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, I agree with Rick. I made my comments very distinctly clear about my thoughts on private security at our last discussion. We were talking a citywide issue, but yeah, I want to keep our staff safe. We have an obligation and a duty by law to do that. But it's sending the wrong message. With every decision you make, you intentionally offend other individuals. This was staff brought this forward as a concern out of employee safety. This isn't about, protecting the city manager, right? It's about protecting staff, and I can't support it either. I sat here patiently listening to the comments, and that's the way this works. We listen and appreciate public input, public comment, public participation, then we have to make a decision. Not every decision is an easy decision, and every decision has its consequences, but I'm not in favor of moving forward with private security issue. And I just, yes, absolutely, Gina, yes, that's our number one priority, is getting this resolved. And that's what we're doing. We can't talk about what we're doing, as you understand, you're on a board. So yeah, and that information will be forthcoming soon, the information that can be released. So anyway, that's where I'm at. So thank you, Mr.
Okay. With that, I'll leave it with the pleasure of the council. I do want to reiterate, I understand you guys have a lot of arguments with things that are posted on the agenda. Understand, for us to actually have a conversation about it, it has to be on the agenda. Okay, I can't meet with these two gentlemen at the same time and have this conversation about private security. If it gets brought up, yeah, we'll put it on there so we can have a discussion about it. Just because you read it on here doesn't necessarily mean it's something that we all agree with. And so, lack of motion.
I think it fails for lack of a.
Lack of motion. Okay, so next up, item 11E, Willows Municipal Code Oversight Committee. Recommended action, establish an oversight committee to review the entire Willows Municipal Code. Before anybody leaves, I would recommend staying for city manager. You are planning on doing a report out on.
No, I was
so-
actually planning on doing a written report by the end of the week in a special newsletter.
That's what I meant. You were going to talk about, I thought you were going to mention that in your city manager report.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't going to go through everything I'm going to put in the report though.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Willows Municipal Code, update, city manager, or sorry, committee, oversight committee, city manager, Marty Brown.
So the council and the planning commission had a couple of joint meetings on Title 18. And I know that Councilmember Pride's not here this evening, but she would like to continue having some additional kind of committee, more, I guess, drill down, deeper, thorough overview of the entire code project that we're doing.
Mhm.
And so this seemed like a good way to approach it. It actually was a suggestion of the city attorney to set up a kind of an oversight committee. And I thought that perhaps, I think Councilmember Pride would like to be on it. I don't know if anybody here on the council wants to be on it. I think I already heard, maybe not. Maybe another person could be whoever the new appointed person for the council could be part of it. This committee wouldn't start looking at the Muni Code until after the Planning Commission finishes its work with Title 18. And the intention, I want to make it clear because Keith, he brought it up at the break and wasn't sure if that meant this group would go back over Title 18 that they already did as a planning commission, and that's not the intention. It's all the other sections of the code that are outside the purview of, which is like section 1 through 19, I think, that are outside the purview of the planning commission. This committee would do a deeper dive and overview of the work that the consultant and the staff have done together, and then make sure that Title 18, the planning commission will be formally hearing and making hopefully a recommendation to the council for approval. I think we're pretty close to the finish line. This committee would make sure that that dovetails with all the other sections of the code, so there's no conflict. And as you know, you may recall, Prentice Long's contract for the Muni Code is through December 31st. And so we're going to need to kind of hustle to do, if we're going to do this committee and do this additional oversight in order to meet the timeline for the expiration of that contract. And so that's why I proposed in the staff recommendation, I proposed several meetings, meeting 1 through 7, going through each section, each of the chapters in the code, and trying to get through that by mid-November at the latest, and then be able to hand it off when it's all done to the city attorney to start a complete review by the city attorney. After that, as the city attorney, she should look at the entire Muni Code before it comes to the council for recommendation, and then bring that forward after that. So this came out of a conversation with Councilmember Pride and also city attorney making this recommendation. And we could recommend other people to the committee. If you want planning commissioners or other members of the public to be part of this oversight committee, that could also be part of it, or it could just be staff, 2 council members, and city attorney, however the council wants to proceed.
Okay. Any questions? Vice Mayor Thomas?
Actually, I like the recommendation of appointing Councilmember Pride and the newly elected council member. That, what a great way to learn about what's going on in the city. Seems that's what happens to the freshman council members, but at the same time, the municipal code is critical mass for what we do as a city. And I think having a newly appointed council member to fill that vacancy, along with Councilmember Pride and her diligence and detail, would be probably very beneficial for the city. So I would recommend approving this with a recommendation.
Councilmember Hanson?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, this council has been actively involved in reviewing the titles, as Marty has supplied us with the titles, as Prentice Long and our legal firm and Gretchen have reviewed the the extensive municipal code titles. And we spent a lot of time on Title 18 on the planning side with the members of the Planning Commission. Sherry's here tonight. Thank you, Sherry, for that. She's been actively involved participant, and it's much appreciated. No, I agree with Rick's comments, Councilmember Pride, and whoever the next seated council member will be, and what an educational opportunity for our future colleague to be able to do a deep dive.
It's not like we're trying to shirk. We have gone through
Yes.
municipal code many times.
Yes.
And it's been a laborious task. And if this individual is going to be voting on it without the months of time that we have spent on it, they would be voting in the dark.
Yeah, Rick. Yeah, exactly. We've been forwarded the codes from Marty and have reviewed the codes when time permitting. There's a lot of text. There's a lot of text there. How many pages, Marty? I don't know how many thousands of pages that God knows. That's a cheap
I don't
question.
know off the top of my head.
But
A
we've
lot.
been reviewing them as Prentice Long, as Prentice Long team, finishes their work. And no, I think this like I say, what an educational opportunity for the next seated council member to work with Lori, going through those codes with the fine tooth comb. I agree with the recommendation.
Marty, I got a question for you. You said we're not reviewing Title 18 yet. It's on the schedule here for meeting 7.
Well, it's
So-
going to be reviewed to make sure that it actually is consistent with the other codes.
Oh, okay.
And so this committee wouldn't meet until after the Planning Commission finishes their process, which is in August, on Title 18. And then this committee is not revisiting 18. It's just making sure there's no conflict between other codes.
Okay. The only reason I was asking is because if we do appoint the newly elected or appointed city council member, they're not appointed until after the first meeting. So, I was hoping that was just a typo so we could have moved it all back a week.
Point.
What's the date on
August 24th is the first one. And I believe our next council meeting is on the 26th.
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I mean, we can adjust it. I mean, this was just really like,
Oh, it's the week of, I guess. So it just
yeah,
would be,
it was really just intended to give a template of like, look, we need to stay on a schedule.
Okay.
I think the committee needs to set their own schedule though.
and it's gonna be hard to do for that first meeting then. Any public comment regarding this item? None? Okay. We'll go to public or council comment on this. I am in favor of Councilmember Pride being on this. I do think that the meetings need to be pushed back possibly like a week total. And say started at September 7th with the meeting 1 chapters. The only reason is by then we'll know who's appointed to the council. They'll have time to actually review and get there in place. Like I said, this is just a template. It's not set in stone. So I'll make a motion to approve this item with city council member Lori Pride and the to be newly appointed council member on this.
Second the motion.
Oh, sorry.
You have a motion?
I'm not used to making the motions. Any further discussion? I'm not tired. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion pass. Next up, item 12, comments and reports. 12A, council correspondence. Vice Mayor Thomas, do you have any?
Oh, I have a comment. Last week, a couple of our former supervisors put together an appreciation dinner for the Glenn County Sheriff's Office. I was unfortunate in that I had commitments late that afternoon in Chico and was unable to attend. I myself personally support the line officer that's from our sheriff's department and those fine folks. Our issues are with trying to negotiate a fair contract with the sheriff himself. But I don't want it to take away from what we appreciate for those deputies that are actually on the line. And I just wanted to say thank you to them because I was unable to do that at that particular appreciation. That's about what I had.
Councilmember Hanson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I echo Vice Mayor Thomas's comments. There's no one more supportive of law enforcement than me. I've worn the uniform of Glenn County, proudly worn the uniform of Glenn County Sheriff's Deputy and Sheriff's Corporal for 15 years of my 48-year law enforcement career, and whatever contractual issues we work through involving law enforcement services has absolutely nothing to do with the men and women providing the services day in and day out at the Glenn County Sheriff's Office. Every one of them. Okay. So thank you, Rick, for making those comments. I also was unable to attend the dinner that night as well, but my thoughts are always with the sworn law enforcement officers. So, like I say, it's my career, a lifetime in law enforcement at all levels, and I know the business inside and out. And it's a good business, but it's a tough business and difficult business. I appreciate everything that our sworn law enforcement officers everywhere, including in this region, do day in and day out. I get it, understand it, support it. So with that, 3 different meetings this since our last meeting. Regional Transit Committee met on July 16th. Extensive discussion was on the Glenn Transit Service Short Range Transit Plan that was approved. It's been a work in the making. It's online, available through the Regional Transit Committee and the Glenn County Transportation Commission. There's a lot of information in there. It's a very well done report, but it's basically streamlining and updating Glenn Ride services. Things change, needs change geographically across the county. Trends change ever since COVID. For God's sakes, remember that 2020? What a disaster. We're still recovering from COVID on our Glenn Ride usage, and the usage it's well used. It's well used, but you know how it is once you start stop using a service for whatever reason, oftentimes it's not picked up again. So we're working on that, transitioning through that. A number of different stop issues, bus stop issues have been made and recommended, and there'll be more to come based on trends and uses. So still heavily utilized by Butte College students and a number of other folks, but it's a document worth reading. Some really good information in there. Other than that, it was routine business, followed by the Glenn County Transportation Commission meeting on July 16th. That was this month. It was just basic routine business. I have nothing outstanding to report. Approval of some standard, some annual, they're called 5311 grant applications, and just routine business. Glenn Groundwater Authority, which I chair, we have a monthly joint meeting, standing monthly joint meeting, one Friday during the month with our sister agency, the Callista Groundwater Authority, as we work through the groundwater sustainability plan. Currently working on demand management. It's very technical work. It's very tedious work, but we're on schedule for having our demand management plan in place by the end of the calendar year. It's a lot of effort. Just like to thank send my sincere thanks to Lisa Hunter, our program director, she's a jewel. She just works her tail off and just does outstanding work. But got a good solid board. It's all about making sure the groundwater's there for all of our uses, following the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, SGMA. You've heard of that. So I spent a lot of time doing that. So, which is why I didn't want to be on a library board. So anyway, that's all I had, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. For me, the only meeting that I had was the ambulance ad hoc committee meeting. It was a good meeting. Met with 2 supervisors and 2 council members from Orland and their interim city manager, who's also their fire chief. So he's having a jolly time with that dual role right now. Some good conversation was had about how we can best serve the community of Glenn County. We're taking some next steps to have another meeting and make sure that we have SSV there to bounce some of our suggested ideas off of them and see if we can start moving forward to see what the best way is to hopefully provide the best ambulance service to the community of Glenn County. And with that, as we were discussing some of the numbers, it's pushing close to um, almost a 400,000 annual deficit to subsidize ambulance service in the county, and that there's potential for that to be increasing. So that's why we're working forward on this, as well with the loss of the Willows Hospital. Unfortunately, we're working towards some good goals. Chief, do you have anything to add to that?
Just that the countywide deficit's closer to like 700. Look at both units, the Willows unit's right around 300,000. And then just for perspective, last year we ran right around 1,100, between 11 and 1,200 calls. To date, we're at over 800 calls for the year. So we're on pace for over 1,600 calls, which we've never even ballpark of that. So there's a lot of compounding issues and complicated. I think right now, collaborative mindset. So
All right. With that, I had a couple of items to direct towards Marty and the staff. Moving forward, is there a way for us to have the library trust? I'm sure Joey's not on anymore. Possibly have the library trust be its own separate account, or I guess, is there a way for it to be more easily tracked? Because it seems like that's where people are having an issue with it on how it's being tracked. Or is there a better explanation that we can get in paper to show that for the library? So when we do get a library board appointed and hopefully we can get a joint meeting between them and the council, we can look at it and say, this is where you guys are at. This is what we're earning. And this is how we're going to make it easier for it to be tracked on a day-to-day, not a day-to-day, but a meeting by meeting basis.
Yeah, I think there's a way to do that. I do want to
Okay.
say we have given a lot of information to the library. It's rate,
Right.
all
And
those
I
other
understand.
things.
I understand that. I
And
think
we need to work out and figure out. We also told the boards too that, Joey just started in January. She right away had to build a budget and learn Tyler. Tyler has so many reports that you can run and figure out which is the right report that would be useful to the board. And we said that we wanted to finish budget, and then, she would start working on trying to figure out what kinds of reports she could provide. So she will be working on that regardless of, when the next board meets or who gets appointed.
okay. And that's totally fine. I just had that conversation outside with a couple of the board of trustee members and was just curious. So said I would ask the question and see if there's a way for us to hopefully, in the attempt to be better communicating with everyone. And I do understand when I hear things about transparency and different items like that. Understand, I think all three of us ran to try and make sure that we tried to be as transparent as we can. Unfortunately, there's just certain things that we can't say. There's a lot of things I want to say, and then our hands are tied. I think both my colleagues here understand what that frustration is like when we're sitting up here to say, there's an old time joke, we're the government and we're here to help, but we really are here to help. But with that, I will go move on to city manager's report.
So briefly, just wanted to mention that August 7th is the deadline for applications for appointments for the vacant position, and interviews will take place on August 18th. And then whoever is selected will be sworn in and take their seat on the council on August 25th at the next regular council meeting after tonight. You may recall the council has a summer recess, which means we just skip one meeting, which is the August 11th meeting has been canceled. And then in addition to that, August 7th is also the deadline for incumbents who are going to run for reelection. If anyone who is an incumbent who doesn't run for reelection, then that deadline gets extended to August 12th for people who want to run in November. Right now, there's two seats that are up for.
Those are 2 4-year terms, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Correct. One is the seat that Vice Mayor Thomas sits in, and the other one.
Okay.
And then this appointment will be for the remainder of, for the vacant seat will be for the remainder of the term of former Councilmember Busby, which is another 2 years.
So recap, you said the appointments for their seats is due by August 11th?
No, the August 7th is the deadline for both the appointed seat and also for incumbents who are running re-election. That happens to just turned out to be the same date.
Okay.
If an incumbent does not run, the application deadline gets extended to August 12th.
Okay. So I would recommend to anyone that is putting in for the vacant seat as of now to also fill out their forms for possibly running for an open seat that is coming up for the election as well. Just to cover all the bases if you really want to be up here.
And the only other thing I was going to mention is just that I am going to put out as much information as I can share on an update on law enforcement by the end of this week, including whatever I can say about our current situation with the sheriff's office, work that Mike Maloney is doing, and something. Well, whatever I can share, I'm going to share by Friday. I want to run it by the city attorney before I release that. So that's part of the reason I'm not doing a verbal update yet, because I haven't spoken with Gretchen.
Okay. And that's totally fine. As I knew, we got new information from our closed session earlier too. So with that, we will go into our closed sessions items, section 13, item A and B. Prior to the city council convening into closed session, the public will have an opportunity to address the council regarding the items listed below pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.3. Public comments are generally restricted to 3 minutes. Is there any public comment regarding items 13A, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, 54956.9, subsection D, subsection 1, and item 13B, conference with real property negotiators, section 54956.8? Yes.
I just want to do a public comment, not on any of that stuff that you just mentioned, but I just wanted to tell you that I personally appreciate the three of you. I appreciate our city, our staff members. I know that you guys have a thankless job, but we really appreciate it. In the last 2 meetings that I've been to, you're listening to the people, and I really appreciate that. So that's
Thank
all
you.
I had.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Means a lot. Thank you.
All right.
Have a good night.
With that, we will be going into closed session at 10:03. Resuming from closed session at 9. All right, with that, we're going to closed session items 13A and 13B. The attorney direction.
Yes, as to 13A, direction was provided to the attorney, and so that direction will be followed. As to item B, the contract was agreed to for 0 Sycamore Street, APN number 003-113-006-000 by unanimous vote for a purchase price of $30,000.
Good night.
Thanks for coming, everybody. Have a good night.